This is the bad time.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Midnight Hour. I am not your host, but I am a guest. This is Miguel, and I am joined by El De Niro.
Hello, Miguel. Thanks for having me on.
That's okay, man. You know me. I tend to give the reins to you quite a lot of the podcast, and then I occasionally come get it back. Because
Yeah.
that's what I do. But yeah, what are we doing today then? What's on the menu, mate?
Well, we're gonna do our annual sandwich review now. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the year that we've just had. We were also gonna have Loosemore here. Sadly, he couldn't make it, but hopefully in future, you will hear the return of Loosemore to the show. But yeah, I guess we're just gonna talk about the year and what we made of it. I think mostly kind of just your basic like pop culture stuff, like probably a little bit of politics. Um, yeah, and like
Entertainment, the
yeah,
media,
stuff like that.
all of
Maybe a
that.
little bit of personal stuff. Like who knows? We don't really have a set in stone um, list of things to rattle off here because the last 2 years in a row we've done that and we've made it to maybe like three items on the list. So
And we're about 2.5 hours in at that point.
yeah, I think the last one we did was like 3 hours. So yeah, I think
Yeah,
we work better just off the cuff. So let's just fucking uh, yeah, do an off the cuff sort of
we can't be
podcast
held
today.
back, man. We're off the cuff,
Yeah.
off the chains. You got your mainstream media as well. Let me tell you something. They ain't censoring me. I'm Miguel, and I am uncensored. You
Yeah.
should put like a massive beep after I say anything now.
It really like the like the cliche of all you have to do to be famous in right wing spaces is just claim that you are censored unfairly and then you get like you're basically famous in those
Uh-huh,
circles. It
that's
like
right.
it just gets more true every single year, doesn't it? Like you
It
can be
really
like the
does.
biggest piece of shit ever and have done like irreparable harm to people, like untold crimes that you've been convicted for. But as long as you say like it's unfair, they treated me unfair, some fucking Dave Rubin will give you a fucking slot on his show. Like it's
That's
just
right.
so
That's right.
it's
I don't know if
shameless.
you're describing Russell Brand there, but it sounded like you were.
Actually,
And
he's a really good example. Yeah, where like
yeah,
the I know that the evidence against him was anecdotal, but like come
sure.
on, like the amount of it, and it's just like oh yeah, well they're doing this because he's too close to the truth about fucking Russia and Ukraine and whatever the fuck else like that he
Yeah.
clearly has no idea about. Oh yeah, it's
I'm not
brutal.
too sure if we talked about it because I think that dropped in 2023 because I
Yeah,
watched that documentary and I knew. Look, long story short, I've known about the guy for a long time. I read his books. I used to listen to his old podcasts and stuff. But it's only when you look back, 'cause those were my formative years as well. But it's only when you look back that you realize that this person was always just chasing attention
yeah.
wherever it would come from. So just so that it's now on the right wing. But yeah, you can easily lump it with the whole like, oh, that was the most shocking thing and most disturbing thing is when all these allegations came out, and there are allegations. One
Hmm.
one can't get too much into it, but there are allegations, and people, if you want to know what it is, look it up. But when he said, "Is there another agenda at play?" and you're like,
Yeah.
"But why would they have an agenda at play just against you and not everybody else who exists in that same sphere as you?" It's not like Tucker Carlson is being accused of sex crimes or, doing all sorts for the last 20 years. So it's weird that they'd come after a little British guy who everyone seems to have forgotten about since about 2012 when he said don't vote. And everyone's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great idea. And then no one voted. And then we got fucked then. So yeah, it's just weird that he takes that road, and it's just sad to see, really.
He is like it is really important to mention with Russell Brand because I can hear, if someone were to argue against you, they would say something like, "Well, he was always outwardly socialist. He always said the right things, and then as soon as
Mm.
he starts talking about Ukraine might be bad or America is bad or maybe Trump is not so bad,
Or
he
questioning COVID and stuff like that.
yeah, he automatically gets cancelled." But it's important to remember Russell Brand right now is like the least famous he's ever been in his life. So that
Mm-hmm.
like we kind of know from the Me Too movement and stuff like this, that like the amount of power that you have in terms of your sort of your like your clout, your celeb status,
Mm.
like the more you get away with, basically. And with Russell Brand, it seemed like there were loads of anecdotes from comedians who kind of knew stuff about Russell Brand, and there
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of insider information, but no one
Mm-hmm.
was allowed to talk about it openly because Russell Brand would have them removed from their show or like threaten their
Mm-hmm.
career or whatever. Which is, it's so fun. Like he's the fucking cancel guy. He's the guy who
Mm-hmm.
cancels people for speaking up. But anyway,
Yeah, it's like an open secret, isn't it? Or I think
yeah,
a,
that's
a
the
few
um,
comedians have certainly come forward and said other comedians say that, like, don't be alone with this guy.
yeah,
That sort to women, that sort of like level of like, yeah, this guy's gonna be a cretin regardless. And one man's chat up lines is another woman's fucking worst living nightmare. So
yeah, yeah.
even if he thinks that he's being all cheeky and a dandy, you're making women sick, mate. Back off. But
He also has always made me sick, except for his role in the movie Forgetting Sarah Marshall, where, quite frankly, he's excellent and very well suited to play that character.
playing himself effectively,
Yeah,
like a mix between his older self and his sort of more current spiritual self. But
yeah,
there is also a there's kind of a tip. So you got hippies, spiritual people, right wing sort of libertarians. They actually meet in the middle because they're both very distrustful of government.
yeah, that's right.
Because the COVID denying thing wasn't just coming from people who'd be more right wing or more into like your Rumbles and those sort of more super pack right wing motherfucking YouTubers and websites and stuff. It's also coming from the hard left, from people who are like, oh, autism is caused by vaccines, like that. Those crowds are
Hmm.
actually in the same area, and what for him especially, like the issue isn't so much someone. You're right, because someone changing their opinions and views, well, that's fine. I mean, there's probably, if you go back to an older episode we did 2018, we probably said stuff that I wouldn't even say or think now. It happens. People
Yeah,
change, people grow.
a lot of the race realism stuff I would disavow. I don't believe that
Yeah.
anymore.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, even on our wrestling podcast, we probably made some remarks about people's weight and looks that I'm probably not proud of, but
Actually,
it is what it is.
I
Huh?
actually don't think that we did. I think that we were
No?
always, when it came to like we definitely never did like I definitely have never made comments about like anything that would approach like body shaming or anything like that. I think that we were always pretty conscious of that on
Oh,
WWP.
I tried to, but you just never know. Something might slip out because sometimes you get comfortable and you think you're just talking to your friends and you're like, oh shit. So it doesn't look. My point is, it doesn't. People grow, but it's coincidental that this guy went as soon as the views came in for the anti-COVID stuff, and then that documentary came out, the Channel 4 dispatches about him. It's an excellent documentary if no one's seen it. The truth of it, I mean, I don't know how truthful it actually is. I suppose that'll probably come out eventually, but
Hmm.
it seems to be pretty solid. But to then go from a vegan, criticizing conservatives, doing the truths, to then hanging out at Mar-a-Lago, eating steak, smoking cigars. He was shilling. Oh fuck, what was he shilling? He was shilling this thing that costs 80 quid. It's like an amulet, like a little thing you can
Yes.
wear to block Wi-Fi signals, and you're like, fuck off,
Yeah.
fuck off. So, I mean, I'm not gonna get to the stupidity of what that thing does, but um, it's closer to tinfoil. Just do that. But yeah, um, it's the circumstances of it. It's not just somebody changing their views. It's the circumstances of it all. It's him saying, "I was at Diddy parties, but I left early and I had a party by myself." And you're like, "You
Yeah.
just said you were there. Don't then take it back by being like, oh, well, I was only there for half an hour. I only saw 7 orgies and I only saw a couple of people get looped up." And you're like, "Yeah, but you're still there though, dog. Like it's not great. It's not a good look." So I feel like he in a way kind of represents, yeah, that entire sphere of mostly men in their 40s, 30s, going into their 40s, who clearly have not kept up with the world. The world's moved on and left them behind. And all they can do is just have these ideas and these. And I don't know if you get this too from these people, but I do. But I do a lot. Where it's like they just wish for the past all the time.
Yes.
Like the past was fucking great. It was shit then. It's shit now. It's shit now and it was shit then. It's just we didn't have as much as exposure to everything as we do now, where you can find out what's going on in Israel and what's going on in Palestine and Ukraine. Like it was all there. It's just we didn't have access to it because the internet. So when people beg for these old days where it was like, oh yeah, no, all we had to worry about was like infectious diseases and women not having any rights and shit like that, as if that was like the good old days. It's yeah,
Paying
disappointing.
paying like €20 for a fucking CD. Remember that? Remember those
Yeah,
days? Fucking 13 cents for a text message. Do you know how fucking
yeah,
expensive life was for like 13-year-old me? You know how much of my fucking confirmation money I spent on new metal albums? Like,
mate.
fuck all of you. You want to go back to that? Fuck that.
Buy, buying magazines, buying a PS magazine to get a demo of a
Oh
game,
yeah.
or I remember also, I remember also buying like wrestling tapes for like £10. And it was like one of the worst shows you'll ever see. Yeah. And not to mention the fact you have to go out and get shit. Nothing was readily available. I mean, you can say what you want about that, I guess. I guess with buying a CD, you feel like you've earned the right to listen to it, but at the same time, it used to price a lot of people out. Hence, torrents came coming into it. You know.
Yeah, that's right. I think
Mm.
I'm probably more so than anyone you know, apart from yourself. I am absolutely like obsessed with nostalgia. Like so many of my Friday nights or like my relaxation time involves recreating something from the past, where I kind of feel like, I'll listen to. I'm like big into vinyl now, and I'll just like I have a couple of fucking Mudvayne records, like shit like that. And it's fucking chill to come into my room, sit in my comfy gamer chair, like recline it a little bit, and just listen to a record, and
Mm-hmm.
put on like the lights in my room change colors. I'll have them on like purple, and just sit in the kind of purple glow, awash with nostalgia, thinking back to a more innocent time for my, and that's wonderful and it's great. But that's basically the only part of it that was good, and that's the part that's like really easy to recreate. People with
Yes,
there
I
are people on
agree.
Twitter now who are like oftentimes signal boosted by Elon Musk, where like they'll show a picture of a fucking. I hate this shit. Have you seen these like propaganda pictures of like a 1950s household in America, and it's like a white nuclear
Yep.
family sitting by their fucking Cadillac convertible or whatever, and their lovely like
Yep.
4-bedroom house in what looks like the fucking nuke town from Call of Duty
Mm-hmm.
set, and it's
From
like,
Fallout. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, this is what they took from you, and it's like, man,
Yeah.
there's this notion among people, and you and I are guilty of feeling this way too, where you feel something like, oh, all my fucking dad had to do was go to his job at the paper mill and
Mm-hmm. At the
put
factory or
put
something.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and then he could afford a home, and like this, if you look at the 1950s, something like fucking, I don't know, 11% of people owned homes. Like it was
Yeah.
worse back then. It was way worse.
Well,
More people own homes now than at any point in human history. Like you
mm-hmm.
want to go back to something that doesn't exist, and I just don't get how people can fall into that trap.
The
As
world has
someone,
also never been safer. You talk about
yeah, oh yeah, big time.
migrants, you talk about your invasions, but actually statistically, you know, a, a lot of people would feel very unsafe walking around the streets in those 50s. You know what I mean? Like especially
Yeah,
women probably wouldn't walk out on their own at night.
or
Probably
like,
they probably have the same thing now, but surely it's lesser because we're all aware of those dangers, right?
or maybe like. I don't even know if they actually felt. I think that they actually felt more safe. I think that this is kind of the biggest problem of the um, I- I'm just gonna try and define what we're talking about here, because I feel like some people listening will think that we're just
We're
kind of
mixing
boxing
two different
shadows.
things.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, we're mixing two different things.
but
Yes.
there's this undercurrent of anger right now among predominantly men, but some women too. You
Yeah,
see
yeah,
you see
that's
them
the
on
odd
Twitter.
chick.
and it's mostly this kind of anti-establishment sentiment, and it's this idea that people are currently, I guess it's probably the reason why Andrew Tate got so famous was because he made this like Matrix analogy that you're just kind of
Mm-hmm.
locked into something that makes you think the way they want you to think and all this kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And it really is just fucking nonsense. All of these kind of arguments that are made by like the red pill types and like it's become mainstream in kind of online conservative circles, and even more so like my friends, their TikTok timelines are just stuff where it'll show Kamala Harris, in 2019, in the DNC primary debates, she said that she was against fracking. But then in 2022, she said that she was in favor of fracking. So what a fucking liar. These people are just liars. All they do is lie. And it's like, okay, she did change her position on fracking. She also like co-sponsored the fucking bill, like the green energy bill in the United States. Like, yeah, she moved her position on something, and while doing it, she made the country more green. She was her name is on the most progressive climate action bill in the history of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So like her position on fracking is not a hypocritical one. It's like she wanted to get rid of it because she wanted more green policies, and
Mm-hmm.
she ended up not getting rid of it. But she did like co-sponsor something that made things more green. That's like that's like a legitimate political maneuver. That's a legitimate like
That's a
philosophy
classic.
of politics.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, I don't even need to. You just the dude is so like you don't even know his
There's
position on
always,
anything.
yeah, there's
Like
always a video or a tweet or a comment, that, especially from that guy, that you can say this is exactly the opposite of what he said there. And you're right.
sometimes in the same sentence he'll fucking
Uh-huh.
contradict himself.
Did you
But
read the Bible? Yeah, I read the Bible. What's your favorite part of the Bible? All of it.
no, the
All of
best
it.
one is
Come on.
would you declassify the 9/11 files? Yes. Would you declassify the JFK files? Yes. Would you declassify the Epstein files? Well, let's not get into that. That's like
Oh, we're not
fuck
getting to
you,
that
man.
one. Oh, okay. Ah, yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
That's
That's
the other
fine.
thing too
And
is
people give him a pass because people are like, "Oh, he meant to say this," and it's like, judge them all equally. Then judge them all by that idea that what this person meant to say apparently was the opposite of what they actually said
yeah.
out their mouth, right? Because that's what they
That's
do
what
all the time when they defend him.
like I have
You meant,
friends who when Trump was first elected, they thought like this man is a fucking like he's a clown, he's an ape, a moron. Um, and something weird has happened where they just have somehow managed to like change the conversation to make Trump a more sympathetic figure, and I just
yeah,
don't
they
really understand.
spun him
Yeah, like
into
I
into a
understand
genius.
the assassination attempt and the should we just fucking talk about like
Oh,
events that
hold on
happened?
though. Let me just make a point about nostalgia real quick,
Oh
because
yeah, go
before
ahead.
we drop that. So, when you were talking about listen to music from say 2002 or 2000, 2006, whatever. Disturbed or Limp Bizkit. I do the same. We know this. I always watch older films and I famously don't watch anything current ever or play anything current. I'm always
Yep.
looking the other way. But I don't apply I the thing about nostalgia is it can be whatever you want it to be. So if you think, you know, when you were listening to that music originally, you're like, oh, I'm recreating this version of my past where I'm listening to these songs like I did. Maybe you were listening to songs 15, 20 years ago because you're trying to get over some horrible shit going on in your life. But because of nostalgia, you look back and go, oh, those were the best days. It might
Yeah.
not be. So it's when people apply that, not just on an individual, like I remember having some. I'm originally from a different country. I don't think I've ever mentioned which one it is, thankfully. Um, so, so we'll leave that a mystery, shall we? But
I'm,
um,
yes.
Colombia this time of year is going. No, I'm kidding. It's. I'm not going to say it. People figure it out. But yeah, when I lived there, so whenever I talk about there, I always have this great image of it being like, oh my god, the country was awesome and everybody was great and people cared about you and the weather was amazing. I mean, that one's true, but there's a reason why me and my family left. So it couldn't have been that great,
Yeah.
financially. But Nostalgia can do that, and I'm fine with applying nostalgia to saying movies used to be better, or films or TV shows used to be better. I know actually TV shows is fucking bullshit. TV's never been better than now, but films especially. Films has probably gone the other way. But I don't apply it to a societal thing. That then doesn't flow to be like, oh, and yeah, and just because this movie from 1960 was amazing, that I think that the world was in its peak then, and women and men had they there was women and men, there was nothing in between, there's none of this they them, and you start then just throwing as much shit as you can at the past, as if like, well, as if you can control it because you can, whereas the future you can, and the present, it's always easy to say the present sucks. So I really struggle when it comes to just applying nostalgia to everything. As you said, a picture of a building, of an old thing, go, when things used to make sense. And you're like, did they used to make sense? Because I can also look at that photo and say, up until the 1970s, most people had to go shit outdoors, right? Do you miss
Yeah.
that too?
In
Do you miss
in
walk in the
And
little
in
barn?
Russia, like I think like 20% of people in Russia still have to do that. And
Right.
that's a society that's always lionized by these people as like, upholding traditional values or whatever the fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for all the nervous pooers out there, yeah, go outside right now. Go into your shed with a bit of toilet paper, and then see how you feel every time you want to do a little grunt. You feel so self-conscious to the point where you're like, I don't want to use the toilet anymore. Or you go middle of the night and you see like a neighbor, and you're like, for fuck's sake, like things weren't amazing either back then. So, well, yeah. Whereas maybe certain aspects of it were better. It's just weird when they apply it to societal structures because they
Yeah.
think that people getting married at 18 was the right thing to do, even though these people needed to stay married because for financial reasons, not just love. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's just hard to see, yeah, when people do that. It really irks me.
I actually
It's not.
have I have two things to say about that. That what you said there, I think
Go
is
ahead.
really true, and it reminds me of during COVID. I was talking to a friend of mine who, this was like before the lab leak theory existed or whatever.
The
We were talking
Wuhan,
about,
the
yeah.
Wuhan lab leak. Yes.
So this guy was talking about how I think the leading theory was still that a bat like defecated on a fucking something that was eaten by a, I don't remember but whatever.
I think a
Um,
bat fucked a bear that fucked a koala. I think that's how they
no, that's
say.
the Robert Pattinson Batman movie. That's different.
Oh, is it? I always get those
Um,
two confused. Like that world pandemic, that movie.
but we were talking like, so this would be, if that theory were correct, that would make COVID the second like bat related pandemic in like our lifetime, let's say.
Hmm.
And so my friend said, why can't we just get rid of bats? And I was like, what? And he was like, can we just like kill all the bats in the world? Like all they do is cause disease. And I was thinking like, this is so fucking this is an insane thing to say. But he said it and it was like perfectly normal, and the other people in the circle were like, like I wonder. And I was like, like what do
About
bats
humans.
do? Like, do you understand what bats do? And they were like, no. And like, I didn't fucking know, but I am sure that bats are around for a reason. So like, you look it up, and anyway,
They'll
they
fit
kill all
somewhere
sorts of
into the
like,
chain.
yeah,
Yeah.
they kill like pesticides, and like they're basically like, ecologically bats are actually really important, it turns out. And that's fine, you don't have to like know that, but to fucking propose getting rid of every single fucking bat because you have to stay indoors for a few months, like,
Yeah.
and
Well, and
that's,
how do you defend humans as well? We've probably caused more misery, pain, destruction,
yeah, but people who
annihilation to the.
say stuff like that, they don't care about that. Like, these are people who would say like, yeah, well, humans are top of the food chain. It's a human's world. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah. It's
fucking,
true.
the complete lack of. It's just, can we get rid of bats? And this is basically the line of thinking that you're talking about there, where you're like,
Mm.
oh, I used to love cartoons when I was younger. We should deport every single brown person. Like that's basically the
Because in those
mentality.
days there was no brown people in my
Yeah.
cartoons,
It,
therefore I didn't have to think about it. Yeah, yeah.
this
It just. it overflows into like your prejudices, basically.
Yeah, and not even like it doesn't. I know other people who think about this in other ways where, like, I think people are so ready to call for a complete systemic overhaul of like the entire just existence of humans and the way that things are done
Civilization. Yeah.
without any sort of like comprehension of how everything like fits together
Or
like
how we got
this.
here, right? Like we didn't just get here because we tried everything else and then we picked this one, this
Yeah.
system. Like as much as I don't like a capitalist system, as much as I don't like a certain type of way that the world operates, there's probably a reason how we got to where we got, either through, strength, power, or also through intelligence and innovation. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to be like,
what's
scrap it
the
all.
what's
Where
the
do you even start?
line, in Peep Show when they go out and they take ecstasy and then they're back in Mark's house and everyone is kind of on the come down and Mark
Mm.
turns on Radio 4 or whatever and he says like, "Oh, look, we're not like held down by the man or whatever. Like there are systems in
Mm-hmm.
place to keep things together. It's only because of the miracle of consumer capitalism that you're not covered in your own feces in a field right now." And like
Mm-hmm.
unironically, that is basically how the world is. Like
Yes.
until if you look at like feudalism and basically everything up to the industrial revolution, like you cannot imagine the poverty, and yet people like
Mm-hmm.
Russell Brand,
The misery. Yeah.
they'll just so earnestly call for a revolution. They'll never explain what the revolution will be because you're not allowed to say, "Oh, I want like a violent upheaval," which is what it would be. Like you can never say any of that. Everything is just like, "Oh yeah, I want to completely tear down a certain system," and I have no regard for like any of the consequences or like where things fit together or like any of this. And it's just such a strange human impulse that i
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that I have myself. And I think that that's probably because like I know the last few years I've been trying really hard to be a much better critical thinker about things. I'm not like super smart or anything like that, but I do
I can
sometimes.
I can tell. Sorry, that was
It's
unnecessary. Carry
you know
on.
when I back in like 5 years ago when I would hear SoundCloud rap, I would think to myself, can we not just get rid of SoundCloud rap? But I'm thinking in my head, this is because I don't like it, but clearly
Mm,
there's a market for it, so like it
mhm.
is what it is, and
Yeah,
anyway, I actually have a really nice kind of positive segue here if you are
please.
happy to proceed.
Love that. Yeah.
It's so this is tangentially related, but I'm not going to rant at all during this. But 2024 was in many ways the year of the comeback. You had Linkin Park reuniting, sans a couple of members. They've got a new singer. Obviously, Oasis are back together. That's like a
Mm-hmm.
huge
Mm-hmm.
one. Um, those are like the main two that I'm like super excited about.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm gonna go see Oasis. Um, I'm gonna see. Well, actually, I'm not gonna see Linkin Park, unfortunately. But you know who else I'm gonna go see next year is System of a
Mm.
Down, who are like kind
They're
of
touring.
they're
No.
touring. Yeah, they're only performing a handful of shows in certain
Mm.
cities, but the one that I'm going to see, they're fucking being supported by Deftones, so that's gonna be like the sickest fucking show ever.
That's two
Um,
A plus gigs for you, man. I mean, for
yeah,
most people that like either one of those, they probably like the other. I mean, let's face it.
yeah,
That sounds awesome. And
yeah.
man, it's crazy they haven't put out an album in 20 years, anyways. But yes, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt your point.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. They did like a couple of songs, I think, back when there was like a few skirmishes, I think, at
mm-hmm,
the it was between like Azerbaijan and Armenia, I think.
mm-hmm.
That's honestly a conflict that I'm really like not
Turkey
up to date on.
as well.
Yeah, Turkey are obviously involved.
Mm-hmm.
I probably won't say anything more about
With their
that
cool
because
new spelling. You seen that?
yeah,
How
yeah,
it's now Turquoise or something like that? They've
yeah,
rebranded.
Turkey.
Fucking sick. Yeah. Torquay. Yeah, that's a place in England, isn't it? Um,
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
you're right. Actually, there has been a lot of comeback. And look, that's those are some of the things I liked. I do think, and this now spills into media. we are very much in the age of the comeback. I mean, they're doing what's that golf movie? They're doing a fucking sequel
Oh
to it
yeah, Happy
with Sandler.
Gilmore.
What
Yeah.
fucking movie needed a sequel? That one, really? They're bringing back Scrubs. That '70s show came back as that '90s show. We've had in the last couple of years a Friends reunion. We've had, I although I don't watch that much stuff, we've had about 50 reboots, re-releases, remakes for games.
Are they really bringing
And
back Scrubs?
yeah, they
Ah,
are.
man, that's ruined my
Um,
fucking day.
sorry. But the truth is the truth. But yeah, we are living in very much well, basically nostalgia is now being capitalized on. That's I guess that's what it is. Is that it's no longer being like, if you go, for a while you could go see Limp Bizkit, 2012, 2013, but I bet they're not as big as they are right now because you can be as open as possible about loving your nostalgic
Yeah,
things.
dude, I actually big highlight of this year for me was I went to see Limp Bizkit in I actually saw them twice this year. I never saw them live in my life until this year, but I saw them once in Belfast and it
Mm.
was it was really good. It was really fun. They were class. Also, they were supported by Tom Morello
Mm-hmm.
and in the do you know much about Tom Morello these
More like
days?
Rage for the Machine.
Yeah, dude, honestly,
I'm getting
like
pelted every time I comment on a Rage fucking post on Facebook
I'm really
because they
sorry
said take
to
the vax. Go
I'm really
ahead.
sorry to say this, but like Tom Morello fucking sucks. He's a great musician and everything, but he's just such a fucking like hack. I don't know. I don't know how to. I just don't really like the guy. I'm not even talking about his politics, which are like they have the nuance of like a 12-year-old fucking boy. But he like a week before the Belfast show, he did some interview where he was like, "Oh yeah, I just want to apologize to the world for inspiring Limp Bizkit," and it's like, you are fucking about to support. You're opening for them in a concert.
How
You fucking
ironic.
embarrassing
Yeah.
fucking hack. But
Well, I found out that a lot of that I didn't know this, but there was a lot of oh my god, who's that band with Stone Cold did Stone Cold Steve Austin did like a he did like a roast for this guy. Let me look it up. I promise you, I will make a point here. Zach Wild, which band is that guy on?
oh, Zach
Mine.
Wild is fuck. I should really know this. That name is so. I'm pretty sure that I was on this guy's Wikipedia page like 2 nights ago in a drunken fucking rabbit hole. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. This people in the comments are screaming. Well, no, my comment section is always
Black Label
fucking.
Society and a bunch of
That's
other bands
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
Ozzy
Black Label
Osbourne and
Society.
Pantera. That's the one I was there. So they spend a lot of time criticizing new metal, and there's always these feuds around this time between like your Faith No Mores who attack hair rock, and then
Yeah.
your Zach Wilds and this Pantera that attack new metal, and now then new metal would attack emo. Most of that was a work, as they say in the wrestling business.
Was it
It's
really?
basically yeah. A lot of it is them being told by their label to push say that stuff. It happens in hip hop all the time, all the time. If you've got an album to sell, the best thing you can do is attack someone else none of the Drake. I guess Drake and Kendrick is a little bit different because they're both already quite big, but yeah, and especially pop feuds or boy band feuds or even musician feuds. Most of it was a fucking work. Just like sometimes you get with the UFC, and obviously you get it all the time with wrestling. Um, yeah, it was the cool thing to do was to attack new metal, so everyone went after it. The cool thing to do, I suppose, now would be to attack auto tune and trap rap. I suppose. I mean, I actually feel like I sound like an old man when I say stuff like that because I don't even know what's current.
Yeah, I think Autotune came out in like 1998. But
Into
yes.
2002 and it ended there. But no, it was all a big work because they want to promote their stuff. So I don't know if people like Morello was saying stuff like that to say, look, we make real music, unlike these guys,
I
only to then
think
realize, oh my god, like, yeah, you don't know what the world's gonna give you, and you're gonna be. It's like those people. I mean, not to bring it to wrestling, but it's like those people that spend their entire career, bracket CM Punk, criticizing WWE, only to then return in 2023 and say, hey, it's all cool. So you spend all that time saying that you never work there again as long as blah blah blah. You do all these things, but then you realize when the money comes in that everyone shuts the fuck up. You know?
I do think though some of that is definitely driven by real stuff. Like the whole new metal movement was definitely like a reaction to the sort of like the sanitized sort of pop like production
Yeah.
line that was going on and stuff.
Which now that pop group thing, now that feels like it was still, they still had talent, because when you watch stuff from now, I watched the Country Music Awards a couple of weeks ago, and it was so clean, so refined, so I get this all the time with people like Sabrina Carpenter, where it's like everything is so structured that the Spice Girls now feel like they were like the new metal of pop,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, I know what you mean. It,
So
it is true. I think I saw a Spice Girls performance at the Brit Awards or something on Twitter.
mm,
It was like 97 or something. And it's literally just the five of them on a stage. There's no fucking production quality. There's no dancers. They're just five of them on a stage with microphones. And
and
Jerry
whether there's,
Halliwell wearing that Union flag dress or
yeah,
whatever, which is just like, just that alone is like iconic.
yeah,
There's nothing
yeah,
else. Like it's actually pretty fucking like it's raw and like it was
yeah.
good. It was entertaining. It was
Even
interesting to
even
see.
yeah. Funnily enough, I because we flip on like the music channels all the time. The few that are still remaining, there's always like a '90s one, an '80s one,
Yeah.
and the same things that me as a late 2000s, young man, young boy would be like, this fucking sucks. I'm like, actually, this sounds sick compared to now. It's weird, but
Yeah.
yeah, it sounds like it had actual, like they could still sing, and it was also groups, because now there's not many groups. That's the other thing about the current situation, is that it's individuals that are the brand, not the group, not the collective. There's not many bands anymore. It's always the singer, and then they're
Yeah.
backed up by, traveling musicians and shit like that. So, but yeah, so I think with that, yeah, but it's definitely the year where, yeah, you can be into your niche things, and you can find a pretty big audience that likes what you like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you or me, we can listen to music that the other one would never listen to. None of my friends will listen to. None of my family will listen to. But I'm still able to go on a subreddit and find 70,000 people on that subreddit that like that exact same thing as I like. So you've got avenues to then go and explore it, and no longer feel like this dirty little secret. Like, oh yeah, do you know, I actually really like I really like, I don't know, name a band. I really like Marilyn Manson, and people would be like, "What the fuck? Isn't he like from 20 years ago? Or don't you still listen to that shit?" No, you just go find a group of people that are all doing the same thing. So therefore, you do end up in a more echo chambery part of that, of course. But it's now easier to be not nostalgic. Not talk about that again. But it's much easier to be into your niche likes and find an immediate audience for it
Yeah. Yeah.
that validates your likes, for better or for worse, than before, where, yeah, I mean, in the old days, it's like, I don't know if you remember this from being young. You'd be out somewhere and you'd see like a guy with a Deftones t-shirt, and you'd be like, I gotta fucking talk to this guy. He's the only person here that seems to know who they are. And yeah, oh, nice t-shirt, blah blah. Nowadays, you see people wearing t-shirts of Biggie, Tupac, old stuff, new stuff, and you don't get that thing to be. I mean, I see people wearing wrestling t-shirts all the time in public. I think it's fucking cringe, but because in my mind, I'm like, oh god, someone's gonna be like, is that all fake? So it's
Yeah.
evolved,
No.
certainly, for people to be more open about their, people who are into anime and all that movement of cosplaying and stuff like that. Like, it's very easy to get access to those things, whereas before, you'd be on your own watching, torrenting anime at 3 o'clock in the morning and being like, I wish I had someone to talk to about this. Now at least you can. So I guess that is a positive, right?
I just want to say that whenever I see a woman wearing a band t-shirt, I always ask her to name two songs and she never can. What's that about?
Yeah, what is that? Yeah. Do you know, I've got a Squid Game t-shirt. I've actually never seen Squid Game.
Man, I have become this exact person. I have two Nirvana t-shirts. I don't even fucking like Nirvana. As a matter of fact, I fucking hate Nirvana. I cannot fucking stand them. Fuck Kurt Cobain. And like right now, I'm wearing a Bring Me the Horizon t-shirt. And I'll be honest, I actually listen to Bring Me the Horizon quite a lot, but I fucking hate the band so much. I think it's so cringe. I have a fucking Guns N' Roses t-shirt. I fucking
Yeah.
despise Guns N'
You
Roses.
got There
I,
was that era. It was like Guns N' Roses, the Ramones, and Misfits. You could
oh,
get a t-shirt at
Misfits.
fucking
Yeah,
Next or Primark. And
that's right.
don't same as you. I did never rated Guns N' Roses. It's just not for me that type of music. Even though again I saw their Glastonbury set, I actually thought it was pretty sick.
Yeah.
Even if Thingy's voice was a bit you could certainly feel the drugs behind what's his name, the ginger guy. I forgot his fucking
Axl
Mr.
Rose.
Mr. Gun and Rose. That's the
Yeah,
one.
Mr. Gun and Rose, yeah.
And the Slash there playing the guitar in the middle. But yeah, no, like it's that now. You can find pretty much any niche that you like, and yeah, you don't need to be a hardcore like I've listened to everything they've ever done in order to be like I like this T-shirt and I like the logo, or I just want to wear it. Thankfully,
Yeah.
it's less intense like that. But
I
I do dread the day where someone's gonna be like, "Have you seen Squid?" When they start talking to you about it, and you're like, "I've seen none of it. Sorry about that, pal."
This is a like there's a punk rock band called the Menzingers that I fucking love. Like I'm so fucking into this band, and I'm strongly considering getting a tattoo, like, to just something to do with the band anyway. And I'm kind of worried that like I listen to this band all the time. I have all of their records except
Hmm.
for there's like one that's like out of print that I don't have. But I will acquire it at some
Well,
point.
are you a true fan? Yeah, exactly. You better.
But the thing
Otherwise, you're not.
I'm worried about someone being like, "Oh yeah, what's the fucking drummer's name?" And I'm like, I don't know. I only know the
Where are
names
they
of
from?
the two
Where are they
singers.
American or are
Yeah,
they?
they're from Scranton.
Just go with Chad or Tyler or Brad. You're gonna be. You're gonna be. What
uh,
else are the American names? I'm trying to think. Todd. There's another one.
Hunter, that's a good one.
Hunter. Yeah, Blake. Bit of Blake. Blake on the drums, I think, or was that Blake on the bass? Zach.
I think
Uh,
that these guys all have just like normal guy names because
Brandon.
the bassist slash singer, his name is like Tom May, and the other guy's name is Greg Barnett or Burnett.
Love that. Just men with names. Nothing. No like unique signature names like Wild or something like this guy's Zach Wild. Although his name is actually Jeffrey Philip Wyland. Why would you just make a fake? Oh, whatever.
We
It's a
should
whole
do a
different
separate
story.
podcast where it's just men's names, but like absolutely no context whatsoever. It's 1 hour of you saying stuff like John Smith, Philip Robinson.
Yeah, that's actually David Bowie's real name. Oh, you didn't know?
What is
Your ass
Bowie's real
better
name?
call somebody, huh?
What is Bowie's real name again? Doesn't he have like another name?
Is it not? Is it
I
not
don't. I don't fucking know.
Ziggy Stardust?
Ziggy. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
That's his birth name. David Robert Jones. There you go.
Is that
So
really David Bowie's
yeah,
name? Is David Jones?
yeah. There's
Man,
the Wikipedia's come through. There you go. Another worker. See, they're
fucking
all
hell.
they're all working, mate. They're all creating an image. Nicolas Cage is not really Nicolas Cage. It's like Nicolas Coppolo because he's the grandson or the son of the guy who did Godfather or whatever the fuck he did.
Yeah, you know what else
Um,
that guy did? Francis Ford
hmm,
Coppola. Here's
hmm.
something from this year. Megalopolis. You heard of this movie?
No, no.
Oh man, I went to see this in the cinema, and I will describe this movie in one word: cinema. It is cinema. This is the reason I go to the cinema, is to see stuff like this. You, my friend, would fucking love this movie because it is absolute fucking horseshit, complete and utter garbage. It looks terrible. The acting is really fucking weird. The dialogue is terrible, but it's just cinema. I can't
It's
explain
just
it.
you can't look away. It's the car crash thing, isn't it?
It's not even
Yeah.
it's not a car crash. It's more like watching your city burn to the ground. It's
Okay, like a drowning, like a slow
yes.
asphyxiation.
Funny story, both of those things happen in this movie. Someone
Oh
drowns, a
wow,
city burns to the ground. But
it's a
dude,
metaphor.
you have got to see this movie. This movie, right? So this is the guy. He made the Godfather movies. He made Apocalypse
Yeah,
Now. He's like a fucking multi millionaire, extremely talented filmmaker.
respected.
He's
Yeah.
made three of the greatest movies ever in the history of civilization, and he made The Godfather. That's a little joke, but
Hey,
he
and he made The Godfather 3. Hey,
well,
he probably didn't.
that's the best one. Um, but he went to like multiple studios to try and get funding for this, and no one would fund it because it's batshit insane and it looks stupid and it's just bad. So the idea is it's basically like a retelling of the story of the fall of Rome, except in a modern context. That's like about New York or whatever. Um,
Right.
and it takes place in a kind of an alternate reality where it's like it's sort of modern but also ancient at the same time. Really hard to
Okay.
explain. It's got everything. It's got like fucking it's got like incest, it's got regicide, it's got
Regicide.
yes,
Fuck
it's
yeah.
this.
Age of Empires. That's always, that word always makes me think of that.
Yeah,
Anyways,
that's my whole life makes me think it.
that was
But
an ADHD intrusive thought there. Anyways, carry on.
yeah, but so he funded the movie himself, self-financed.
You're kidding me.
Like
120 million, and it's
yeah,
only made 13 million at the
yeah,
box
dude,
office.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He
brother.
he I think he got a he didn't get a deal for like any funding for the movie. There's like no studio involvement, but he did get a distribution deal with some distributor like agreed to farm it out to the cinemas basically, but obviously it got like very little promotion because of that.
Mm.
And if you look there, I think there are two trailers that were published for it, and they're both just like really bad. It
Mm.
looks really bad. Um, but there is something in me that definitely also exists in you where you want to see just the sheer is surreality a word?
It
The
is
it's
now. I know what you're saying.
surrealness, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just so. I simply had to go to the cinema to see this movie, and I am so glad that I did. It's incredible. It's just incredible to see this cast on a
Mm-hmm.
screen, like that someone would put hundreds of millions of dollars into this thing, and fucking that like Adam Driver, who is like a well respected actor now, and there are many other
Dustin
like
Hoffman,
yeah,
Shia,
John
Aubrey
Voight
Plaza.
is in there. Yeah,
Yeah.
Aubrey Plaza actually gives a really good performance in it.
Lawrence Fishburne, I'm seeing here.
Yeah, yeah, he's there.
Holy shit.
He's just the narrator, really. I think I don't think
Hmm.
he. But yeah, it's just a phenomenal
Well, is
spectacle.
that Lawrence Fishburne or Samuel L. Jackson? Because you know,
It's man,
hard to tell these days.
I really feel for that guy who asked that question to Samuel L. Jackson
It was a
because
slip, wasn't it? It wasn't a
no,
racist
no, I
attack.
don't even think he was wrong. He was like sincerely talking about the like Avengers movie, which was shown at the Super Bowl commercial.
Uh-huh.
Like that's what he was talking about. But Lawrence Fishburne also had a commercial, and Samuel L.
Hmm.
Jackson just got really offended. But like, I don't think the guy was. I don't think he was wrong at all. And then he obviously like if you say something and someone accuses you of racism, you can't
Hmm.
be like, no, actually, here's
Very
like,
hard.
yeah, he has to be like, oh, I'm terribly sorry to, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Anyway,
because
that was a side note.
that's yeah, that was italic in brackets. We said that man's name.
Yeah.
No, well, no, but there is the fine line between fame and infamy, right? So you want to see the good, and you know me, I'm obsessed with terrible films,
Yes.
especially terrible films with a big budget. Thankfully, Wikipedia has like a whole page of it, but can't watch that all the time. You have to watch some good films to remind yourself that the medium can be good. But when you get films like these, I'm looking at I'm looking at the Wikipedia, and it's just like COVID disrupted it. He asked people to improv
Yeah.
during the shoot, and then
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
last minute changes. The visual effects were changing. People were being fired throughout. It's properly like The Room,
He
but
also
a
was
big
like
budget film version of The Room.
apparently Coppola was also being like really creepy to interns in his trailer and stuff like this. Like,
Hmm.
I think that this movie just is, I don't know.
Cursed.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cursed and it's like offensive. It's an assault on the senses almost. It's just
Like
so
Batman and Robin, that
yeah.
sort of
Actually,
level,
that's yes, that
where
is
you're just like you're watching, just mouth open, just completely drawn in by the surrealism that is being and how mad it all is. You know, yeah, it's I love that stuff.
that
Love
is
that stuff.
that reference there, Batman and Robin. That is
Mm.
exactly that's the closest other thing I could say to what this it's exactly like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's such a fucking good I actually really want to watch that movie again now
Hey,
because
at least we got that excellent song out of it, the "Kiss from a Rose," which has
oh yeah,
nothing to do with the fucking film.
but it's the best song ever made.
It's a sick song. In the music video, does have clips from the film, which I love that from back in the day. Where I think Limp Bizkit have that, don't they? With the Mission Impossible
Yeah,
song,
yeah.
where it's like spliced in with the movie. They don't really do that much anymore, but I love that style back in the day.
Oh man, the Take a Look Around music video is fucking
Take a look
brilliant.
around.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
the I saw them play that twice this year. Man, I fucking when I saw Limp Bizkit in I saw them in Toronto on the Budweiser stage there, and it's honestly I'm not just saying this, the absolute best concert experience of my entire life. It's
Hell yeah.
it was just like just fucking magical. I bought a fucking t-shirt at the merch stand. I paid like $17 for a Bud Light. It was so worth it. Everything. If I
Yeah.
could I would relive that night again like 100 times
That's
in a row, and I would never lose a single layer of enjoyment of it. It was just fucking
awesome.
spectacular.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're loving the Bud Light, that's when you know you're having a good time, right? When
I,
you're willing to accept.
I think the other thing as well was I went with my girlfriend, and
Mm,
she has like really good taste in music, and she's very like flexible with her taste, you know, like
mm,
she can listen to like if I'm in the mood for like country music or whatever, like she'll vibe with that, or like 90s nostalgia,
mm,
she'll go like anything. Even like I can listen to metal and like she can get into it just because
mm.
I like it enough, or I can explain why I like it or whatever. It's very hard to explain the concept of doing it all for the nookie and various other extremely 90s things like that. But I think she really enjoyed it. I mean, she swears to me that she did enjoy it, and she's not a liar, so I believe her.
Yeah, yeah, you get that thing. It's funny that you get that too. You're like, if you do like something with your partner that's like a little bit, it's not like complete out of their field, because yeah, if she likes the genres that you like, then that's easier. But when you're like, are you sure you're enjoying this? Are you definitely sure this is
Yeah.
like, you can tell me if you don't, not like, if you know, because like showing people wrestling or like some weird films that I've seen, and I'm like, are you sure you're enjoying this? You know, there's no nicer feedback when they're like, "Have you got more stuff like this?" And you're like, "Fuck yeah, yeah,
Man,
I got a ton."
at the start of this year, I was in the United States, and we were watching the Royal Rumble together, and like
Mm.
the night before, I had explained to her like the entire like CM
The
Punk,
business.
like because you know this was the Rumble where Punk was entering.
Yeah, he got
Um,
hurt. That's the, well, yeah,
he got
yeah,
hurt, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, we were in a bar like the night before the Rumble, and I literally talked for about 15 minutes just about CM Punk, and like she
The
said
story.
she just said, "Oh, I'm really excited to see it now." So like, yeah, that's what you want. The Rumble was really good. Also, that's the thing that happened this year to keep it on topic.
Should we pivot to talk a bit about wrestling? Because it's been quite a banner year for professional wrestling in many, many ways. I won't go on too long because I know it's only a tenth of the audience that has
Yeah.
respect for this
But
fake sport.
it was a big year for wrestling because even I think like for the audience who doesn't like wrestling, which is a substantial number,
It's more than the ones
uh,
who do than the ones that do. Yeah, put it that way.
but they will know who Vince McMahon is, and I think we all know that there is far more to come in the story of Vince McMahon, and like
Hmm.
you know his downfall has been uh it's been I feel like we all kind of thought that Vince would basically he would die as the owner of WWE, and then afterwards all of the like sordid stuff would come out, which everyone kind of
Yes,
knows
yes,
about and suspects and stuff.
yeah.
Like Vince is like not a good guy,
Hmm.
but there's something about him, and there's kind of like a cult of personality around him that
Hmm.
just I guess again it's that position of power that he has, that
Hmm.
he had this kind of untouchable thing, and then like out of nowhere he just got fucking removed, like publicly traded company, a couple of scandals, none of which alleged I have to be really careful with my words. So there was no illegal stuff alleged in the first
The
story.
2022 one, no. I think the
Yeah,
2022 one was, well, it was
he had an
illegal from the
affair.
payout perspective. Yes.
I don't even think the payout was actually necessarily illegal. I think the payout implied something else, but you couldn't speculate that because nothing was alleged. It was just basically Vince McMahon had an affair with a coworker or
Hmm.
with an employee, let's say, and
Hmm.
then he paid her 300 grand after she left the company.
Hmm.
But that's like that happens in like that's called a golden handshake. That happens in like lots of companies. People leave and they get paid off for
Far
like
more than we know, right? Because it's
yeah,
NBA City, right?
yeah, big time.
It's just when they sold WWE to, is it TKO?
TKO, yeah,
Yeah, they looked through the books and they would find 3 million missing here, 6 million missing here.
yeah,
But actually, as McMahon was as I understand it, he was uh, he had the most stock and he had the most power.
yeah.
He can dip into the company funds. It's just he has to tell people, and he didn't because he made it look like he was going to pay it off himself. I think this is confusing and difficult, but yeah, the McMahon documentary was front and center on Netflix. Like it was the first thing you saw when you look. And if you go into
Yeah.
it now, at least on mine, it's WWE, NXT, Raw, blah blah. They keep advertising. So that was, as you said, like this guy has been around since 1984. He's been the singular standing force in WWE. He's as synonymous with wrestling as anybody, even like at the level of a Hogan or a Rock. People know who Vince McMahon is, and to have him removed and erased from history, the same way that Vince McMahon himself used to do to people when they quit or got fired,
Yep.
or whatever else happened in between, died. Fascinating. And the documentary comes out, and I everyone should see it. I think it's not just about wrestling; it's basically it's entire history of wrestling, but it's also as close to a biography of McMahon as you're ever gonna get because
Yeah.
he'll never write a book and he never talks about anything. He's look, this guy, not justifying obviously anything, but this guy he had a really rough upbringing. He hints at it in 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 the documentary, but this guy had a horrific upbringing in the trailer parks.
Yeah.
Like he didn't know his real dad. Um, he I mean, he literally says he would have killed his stepfather. I think he was sexually abused by like a parent or
His
somebody in
his
his
mother, yeah.
family. Yeah, hence the reason why there's a lot of incest in wrestling, or implied incest, or like this idea that brother and sister and all this like fucked up stuff. But he, much like certain people, when they're on top for too long, he got his character confused with who he is,
Yeah, yeah.
and it just spilled into the most depraved, allegedly depraved acts a man can do. But it's not just that. I think WWE going to Netflix is a ginormous change for the business because they're no longer going to be bound by time restraints. So there's no advertisers necessarily. So the shows could be different lengths of time. It's
Yeah.
no longer going to be produced with a live audience in mind. I mean, if you watch current pay-per-views, I'm sure because you said you watched the Rumble. If you notice, they do these massive advertising campaign between matches. It can be as many as 15 minutes between matches, where they're like advertise the city. So if they're in like Miami, you get like a 5 minute basically tourist guide for Miami. Every single match has a fucking sponsor now.
Did
The
you happen to see the promo before either SummerSlam or Survivor Series, I think, where it was in Atlanta, Georgia, and what is it? The
Cody and that
fucking
rapper.
Yeah, well, no, not that one, but it's when Cody pulls up to the stadium, and then Roman Reigns arrives with like a cavalcade of like black tinted window SUVs, like a
Oh
fucking
yeah,
presidential figure, and
yeah.
Roman and Cody meet in the center of the field, and they have the dude that's also cinema. That promo was
Rock.
fucking sick. I fucking loved it
Yeah,
so much.
Rock,
Yeah.
Cody, Roman, Seth, as well for WrestleMania did the exact same thing where they like walk out of either side of this empty sort of parking lot at night and they sort of square up to one another and they talk trash. Yeah, that was never a thing. So Yeah, it's changing a lot, the business, and it will continue to change with Vince McMahon no longer there. And on the other side, you've got AEW, who are basically now going through their mini slump. They were meant
Yeah.
to be the next interesting competitor when WWE was kind of stuck in its old ways, but now WWE has now evolved into the present. So AEW are struggling to stand out because WWE gives you 5-star matches weekly, which is AEW's biggest selling point. So
Did you
it's
see
really.
the? Sorry to cut across you. Did you
Mhm.
see the recent? I think it's Sports Illustrated posted their top 10 matches of the year.
Mm.
Fucking
No,
that Will Ospreay guy is in like six of them. Um,
I don't really like his style because
dude,
I like.
I hate him. I hate his style. I fucking hate his voice. I hate his look. He fucking sucks. But
Yeah.
I
I
guess like
just
whatever people
miss,
are into
not to
that.
sound like an old timer here real quick, but I do miss when they made the fake fights at least look a bit more like they're trying to fight. It
Yeah,
does feel very much like a performance. Now, some
yeah,
people still got it, don't get me wrong, like Punk and Seth and the main eventers, but a lot of the people underneath, it's literally like a gymnastics thing,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't want to see a triple moonsault into a jumping tombstone pile driver that the other guy kicks out at one and then no sells it. Like it's really bad because if nothing means anything, why did he not kick out of the third and he kicked out of the like? Yeah, you just get into this whole like when you start to see through the facade, it's really hard to appreciate the work that goes into it. And he, unfortunately, is very much him and Ricochet and people like that. They're very much the face of like this new style, which is like hit 7,000 moves,
Yeah.
but then the one last move ends it, but not because they just because the script says it ends here, you know. But yeah, that's all I had to say about wrestling. It's just it feels like the last 2 years of professional wrestling have been more newsworthy than the last 20 that came before in terms of changes. Like WWE is now working with TNA. Did you know about this?
Um, like very, very loosely. I just read some stuff on Twitter that they had apparently, like, I saw JBL turned up in the main
He
event
did.
when Dolph Ziggler, who I think he
Mm.
just goes by his real name, which is
Nemeth.
Nick Nemeth. Yeah. Um, there used to be a fella who played for Middlesbrough called Gillard Nemeth, I think.
No way. Is he
Uh,
French or something? Yeah.
No, he's Hungarian. It's like Slizard, but it was pronounced like it was
Uh,
like Szilard, but it was pronounced like Gillard, which is probably
Gilles.
incorrect, but that's
Gilliul, yes. But
yeah.
no, yeah, they're working with other companies, which they haven't done in fucking forever, if ever. Um, it's changing a lot. It's exciting, but I do prefer the old stuff, funnily enough, and I think that it's going to get to a point where I only watch WrestleMania, the big shows, I guess, like you would, WrestleMania and Rumble. Um,
I'm going full time from 2025. I'm
oh
gonna
yeah,
watch. Yeah, yeah.
are you
Well,
gonna watch Travis Scott on the 6th?
no, dude. How does that guy still have a fucking career? Like,
I don't
I
even
don't
know.
fucking understand. It's like a bunch of fucking kids died at his show, and he immediately is fucking plastered all over billboards and whatever for his new album. How does he? If I, like, I understand it's not his fault or whatever, but like the dude was looking at a fucking ambulance in the crowd and people on, and like he didn't even say, like when I was at the Limp Bizkit show like 4 months ago, Fred Durst is like, "Oh hey, if someone falls, pick him up." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
I
and
didn't know
like,
anything about this Travis Scott thing. So what's that? Can you
oh,
tell me about
so
that?
um, just to get ahead of this, someone is going to point out that someone did die at a Limp Bizkit concert in like
In
2003.
2004. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
which is true, but like
But no, just tell me about the other incident.
basically Travis Scott has had this career long issue with kind of the rowdiness of his crowds. There's some like very intense energy about his shows for whatever reason. I think I don't know if anyone ever died at his shows, but people have had like all sorts of horrific industries injuries and been I think like someone was paralyzed at one of his shows before.
I have
Uh,
no idea.
and so basically he held this festival in Texas. So I'm not reading it. This is all from memory, so I might be
Yeah,
wrong
yeah,
about some of
yeah,
this.
it's fine.
But I think it was called the Astro World Festival, and it was basically like a huge Travis Scott concert with this. He had an album called Astro World, and it was very like theme park kind of oriented or whatever. So
Fire festival type
it's
of thing,
sort of like
no?
that idea, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Um, and like you could see, so footage started coming out before Travis Scott even, before the gates had even opened. There was footage of this show, of his fans like rushing the gates, and like knocking people over to run ahead to knock down barriers. Like people were going fucking nuts. And
Okay, wow.
I think this would have been 2021 or 2022 maybe. And so Travis Scott eventually took to the stage, and basically there was just this kind of mosh which led into like a kind of a stampede, and people just all got crushed together, so much so that they literally just lost air and fucking died. And there's
Oh,
footage of like an ambulance driving through the crowd, and people are not letting it past. People are jumping on the bonnet, on the roof
oh
of the
my
ambulance. And
fucking
there's also
god.
footage of this these two kids, like they must be teenagers. They climb up onto part of the production area where people are filming, because this was all a big production. It was
Mm-hmm.
organized by some like famous production concert company. um and so this woman goes up, and I think she tells like a cameraman or like an aide, like, hey, like people are fucking dying down here. And the guy is just like, oh, okay. Like I think the guy basically says that he's gonna like radio for help or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
like like the show never got stopped. Travis Scott didn't acknowledge any of the stuff that was happening, didn't acknowledge the ambulance, like didn't say at any point like, hey, it's pretty rough out there, like, look
Wow.
after each other. Nothing. No, like, take a step back, like bands always do shit like this. You can watch, like, Oasis would say it all, like Noel Gallagher would say, like, oh look, the barrier is getting full, like everyone take a step back or we're not playing another song, stuff like this. It's really common in fucking crowd
Yeah.
control and music.
Queens of the Stone Age. He called a few guys a cocksucking fuckholes and things like that.
And kick
So
the
yeah.
camera woman. Sorry,
Kick the
anyway.
cat. You're too close. Whoop-ha! Hope she's okay. I think she's okay.
Yeah, yeah. But sorry, that's not funny because he kicked the camera woman. It's just funny because anytime Miguel talks about Queens of the Stone Age, I have to bring that up to ruin his
Bring,
good time.
bring,
But
bring a man's lowest point straight
yeah.
to the spotlight. That's
I am
how we remember
reducing your
people.
favorite act to his worst moment, because that's
An
all they are
absolute
to
scumbag kicking
me. Yeah.
a fucking poor
But
camera woman.
yeah, this fucking happened at a Travis Scott show. Like, I don't know, something like between 6 and 14 people died, let's say, according to
Good
my
God.
memory. Yeah, and like nothing happened to him as a
And they were
result of
young, right?
this.
Because they're his fans. They must have been like
Yeah, yeah.
teenagers in their 20s and stuff, because that's probably this core audience. Good God.
I'm also pretty sure he didn't offer to pay any of the like funeral expenses or whatever, because his lawyers would have said that's an admission of guilt or something like that.
Guilt.
I
Yeah,
actually, I
yeah.
could be wrong about. I think I remember that he did actually offer it to one family, and they actually
Mm,
rejected his offer. So,
mm.
um, but yeah, it's
But yeah, but he has no downtime because I'm pretty sure he just stayed in the spotlight and
oh
never
man, it was
really went away.
he had a new he had a new album came out. I think it was within the same year of that concert, or else it was like, 6 months later or something.
Mm,
And it was like
that's
all
nuts.
over, like billboards all over the, um, all over America.
Mm-hmm.
Basically the idea is that this dude is still a mainstream star, and yeah, he's just had no
With
consequence
no
for it. And
yeah, yeah, that's what sucks. I mean, well, saying it earlier when we started, seems to be the era of no accountability. Don't talk about it. Don't let anyone talk about it. Just move on, and and then we have to like bear the burden of knowing all these horrible things about people. Yet those people receive no. Well, I guess you shouldn't be punished for that. It's not really fair, but you know what I mean. The general like they don't take on anything because yeah, as you said, that they've been told by someone else that any culpability is an admission of guilt, and in this world, guilt is weakness, and doubling down is the best thing to do.
yeah,
Crazy.
this I'm on the wiki page for it now. It was 10 people who died, and it does so.
Oof.
There is like, oh man, there's so much in here. Like there's a paragraph warning signs. There's like the timeline. Like this, it goes on and on. I really, I will say for
Maybe we should
any,
do an episode just on that, huh?
yeah, maybe.
That sounds quite heavy.
as much as I don't think that the people dying was necessarily Travis Scott's fault. I do think that he does bear some responsibility, and I just feel like as a performer, like you should have some awareness of this, but then you should have some kind of, I don't know how
You
to.
should know what kind of crowd you're fostering, I think.
Yeah,
I think you should know that if you have rowdy, crazy fans and you keep amassing these types of people, I think I do remember the clip of people breaking through the barriers to come in or to leave because of it. I can't remember which. I think they're coming out running. Um,
yeah.
Look quite similar to like the fucking Columbine footage. People just running out of this building. But yeah,
Or
um,
the Euros final in Wembley. Remember
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. Excellent documentary about that too on Netflix called The Final. Oh my god, it explains everything. And it even has
really?
people who broke in. Yeah, people talk about from their perspective being like, I wanted to go, I tried to go, then I broke in and I walked like I went here. Yeah, it's
Wow.
really sad. They talked to like a bunch of Italian supporters as well and how much shit they got. Yeah. Yeah, take a look. Um but should we move on to AI whilst we got the time? Because I know you mentioned something about AI.
Yeah, the
I hate
this
it. It
dude,
sucks.
I
I use it all the time, dude. I use it all the time, but not for anything good. I just make silly stories or write silly lyrics, or I'll give it
oh
like a
yeah.
premise for a TV show that is really bizarre, and I'll be like, do the first episode of this.
Oh man,
I don't know why I use it.
sometimes I just talk to ChatGPT because I'm bored and I ask him about fucking anything like
Well, I've heard
nostalgia,
some people
beer.
use it as therapy, you know? Some
Yeah,
people
yeah.
use it as like a sort of yeah, like a reflect. It's not like you're talking to another person. It's like a reflection of you through what you're saying to kind of understand, things that you weren't thinking about your feelings, or about, an action that you're gonna take, or something that you want to
Yeah.
do. I get all of that. I get it. It's great. But someone entered an art competition and won with an AI image.
Yeah,
That's bad.
this so yeah, I know I ranted a lot about AI in last year's one. And I think what I'm going to say now is going to be very similar to that. So apologies in advance. But I think I have no problem with the use of AI. Like I'm in the Mid Journey Discord. I've made a lot of images on there. Like I think it's really fun to use, and the songs and stuff that we make.
Oh, the Suno. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Suno's
all
the one. Yeah.
all that, like it's fucking fun. It's a really nice kind of sandbox, like playground, like fuck around. Absolutely, it's great.
I want to make a song about Jim Ross being set on fire by Kane. Right. I'm gonna go to Suno and do that. And
Yeah.
it's not. It's got no intellectual weight or bearing. And it doesn't affect anything. It's just you having fun with the tools at your disposal. You know.
Have you seen the Coca-Cola Christmas advert this year?
No, no.
Dude,
God, missed it
it's it's
completely.
it's AI. It's entirely AI and it is fucking garbage. Like this I really really fucking hate this. I like I said, AI for personal use and like sharing files with your friends and all, great, like really fun. Genuinely you can have a lot of fun with it. And it's also,
Mm-hmm.
I have it in my Discord. There's like an AI, there's like an image generator, and there's also like one that will generate stories for you, and it's fun. You
Mm-hmm.
can like have all your little inside jokes with your friends. That's class. A fucking advert on television, like
Mm-hmm.
for Christmas, like the whole point of Chris. You know how many people feel just a glow of like sort of festive happiness when they see the fucking Coca-Cola trucks coming over that fucking snowy mountain and they hear holidays are coming, and then you see this fucking ad. It's like basically what it is like it shows the trucks, they're driving around a mountain and into a town, and then it cuts to like some fucking owls, some polar bears, some people, and then the trucks arrive, and like that's it. There's no like heart or soul to it whatsoever, because these AI video generators, they can't generate narratives or like consistency or characters or like anything that
The
amounts
human,
to the
the
reason
human
why you.
ingenuity.
Yeah,
Yes.
just
Yes.
just the human spirit. Like all it
Yes.
can do
That's
is it
yeah.
generates like shots that are between 3 to 5 seconds saying the thing that you want. So you say like
That's right.
polar bears in the Arctic or whatever, and then I'm sure they do a lot of post production to make it look consistent in some way. But if it, like honestly, just watch this video and understand that it is just a compilation of 5-second clips generated by an AI and then spliced together and given the holidays are coming thing. And it's such a strange choice to me because it's not like Coca-Cola need to cut costs on their advertising. Like
That's right.
it's just this
They're
is
number
not
one.
this
They've
isn't
always
a
been
money
number one.
saving thing from them. Like this is a conscious decision to like use this technology or whatever. And the fucking worst thing about it is the amount of fucking blue check mark fucking I can't say the word that I was gonna call them,
Sucks.
but the these
What was it? The other C word.
no, it was an or word, but
Oh, oh.
yeah, but these guys are like celebrating it because they think that this is a technological innovation, and
It's
they're
like a
like,
triumph for technology.
yeah, but they don't
Yeah.
know, like this again, I said this last year, but they just don't know what art is supposed to be for. They don't get the concept of art. Like they don't
Mhm.
interact with art with any kind of human connection. They just think that art is some sort of fucking engineering project that can be like dumbed down and gamified and
And
streamlined and
exploited.
optimized and fucking
Yeah,
like, oh
yeah.
dude, it
Whatever
does my
their
fucking head
outcome
in.
is. Yeah, yeah. I mean, as always with these things, with anything sort of technological and whatever, um, it's only as good until it falls into the wrong hands. Now, I I know for a fact that the dead internet theory only started picking up in 2014, but I think now more than ever there's a quite a lot more of AI activity than there is human activity. Because if you watch like a post of I don't know those typical right wing pages, the first comment is always an AI account that has no pictures, no nothing. That always says he's right, and it gets like
Yeah.
2K likes
Yeah.
because I see all the other bots liking it, and then people start arguing in the comments, and then you are arguing with a human because someone will defend this AI bot's view, but people don't realize that they're creating this dissension in using AI to um, rather than using real people, real comments, they're using this. I mean, those phone factories in Russia and in China that like pump out this information. That has never been easier now with AI because you just program into the AI to be like you're a right wing talking points with links and stuff, and you post it every other couple of hours, and it starts to get traction. And by the time you um, discredit this account or discredit their points of view or pull out the truth or pull out the scientific truth, call it what you want, there's already been 10,000 other posts, so we cannot keep up the flow of bullshit. So AI was initially, we're still at the point where it's like, oh, it's so friendly and literally like the internet, right? Or social media, the exact same path we're on, which is to start off as like, this is great, this helps me connect, this helps me use, flex my creative muscles to the point where it becomes monetized and well, we're getting with the ads already, where it becomes a tool to basically undercut and make money. And yeah, it's not a good idea overall. It's a good idea now, but it won't be a good idea in about 5 years time, I promise you.
I saw just to what you just said there. I saw a tweet a while ago from a guy called Brooks Otterlake, and it was a joke tweet that went viral. And it just said, I used to hate waiters until I realized they're not just being nosy. They need to know what I want to eat so they can relay it to the kitchen staff, right? This is
Yeah.
classic old school Twitter joke. Everybody enjoys it because it's fucking absurd. Like, and anyway, he tweeted a bunch of replies that he got from blue check marks, which were obviously just ChatGPT bots. Like one of them
Yeah.
said, for example, waiters are just trying to help your meal order, and someone else replies like, it's not that they're being nosy, it's that they, just all these fucking blue check marks replying,
Yeah.
basically explaining the joke back,
And
but
to get
like,
traction, because that account got a lot of making
yeah,
that joke, it got a lot of spotlights. All these
this
accounts that follow it for clout.
I
It's
can't
what
remember
will
if
become.
I can't remember if I told this story last year or not, but I'll tell it now. I saw this guy on Twitter who was really happy with himself that he installed an AI plugin on his LinkedIn page that would basically like and comment under certain posts. So like,
Yeah, to give visibility and stuff, right?
yeah, so like there was a post from a woman saying something like, oh, like I got a promotion or whatever. And so the guy replies, the guy, he's not doing any of this, but the AI plugin he has on his browser replies saying, love seeing women elevated to positions of power, right? And so this
Mm-hmm.
guy is like, oh, like check this out. This is like a really good way to like drive engagement or whatever. And I'm just like, do you, that's great. Engagement is up. Analytics are up. Likes
Mm.
are up. Fucking human interaction is down. No one's fucking talking to
Down.
anyone. Oh, but
That's
our fucking
right.
like our metrics look great. But like
Mm-hmm.
you're not, it's a social fucking network and it's computers talking to computers. It's just
Yeah.
absurd. It's fucking insane. And people
And
are so
now,
happy about it. People think that this is a victory. Like I just don't
yeah, yeah.
understand what the fuck any of these people actually get out of reality. There's a weird kind of like sycophantic Elon Musk fan type guy who thinks that
I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur.
yeah, and they think that
I'm a tech guru.
the
Fuck off.
goal of life is
Bullshit.
basically to fucking make love with Jarvis from fucking Iron Man. That's basically what they're like all about. Everything is just oh
That's the ultimate man. Yeah,
yeah, fucking optimize everything. Like, oh, just fuck
yeah.
all of you people. I fucking
I,
can't stand this. This is
I
the shittest version of fucking like a like.
Tech
There's
bro. Is that what they're called? Tech bros, right?
e-
That sort of character.
this type of guy like this doesn't even exist in fucking dystopian novels that predict things about the future. Like no one fucking saw any of this shit coming where like
Yeah.
you would lose the very it is like an actual fucking Outer Limits episode. It's
It's
just
a very
so
slow one. It just takes. It starts slow. That's the difference. So you're not going to see the full picture for a while. But yeah, we've seen enough of these trends. I mean, I'm just going to talk about social media real quick as well. Like, I think the original version of social media was actually good. You know, from I guess MSN could be considered social media because you are
for sure.
socializing, right?
Like
You,
our like our MySpace pages and shit like that's fun.
yes,
Like
we used to. I learned HTML. I'm sure you did too. How to
absolutely
code.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I'm having the Peep Show song trigger every time you go to my page, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Um, but the initial version where you either just meet, you have your friends, school, work, college, university, you have your family, and you choose that bubble. Okay, same with Instagram when it started. You'd go around and you'd be like, everyone who I've got on my contacts on my phone, you know, not necessarily literally everybody, but most of them, okay, put them there. And then you just get to see what your friends are doing. Great. And then it opened it up to celebrities. Then it starts opening it up to people who start selling products. I think that was the first wave. It would be like people selling energy drinks and stuff like that. And now we're basically at a point where, what's that film called? Is it Idiocracy?
Yeah.
Where yeah, we just basically celebrate stupid people, and whoever is the loudest and the stupidest gets the attention.
Yeah.
So people who make really shit music, there's this guy, I mean, I don't know the guy's name, but he's got a song called In Her Bum Tonight. Have you heard this?
No, I don't want to.
It's a song about this
Respectfully.
British absolute yob just have doing anal with his missus, right? And you watch it and you go, look how shit this is, and you share it. And then this guy, this is also a new trend that I've noticed, post influencer and all this stuff, where people go and review the most basic ass shit. So it'd be like me eating a cheeseburger at McDonald's and reviewing it, me eating pub food from Spoons, which is like a chain in England. Me eating chicken wings from Mr. Wings, the kebabby takeaway. And
Yeah.
everyone has this idea that like everyone needs to be a brand and you need to promote your brand and the way you present yourself is so it's the same thing I was saying about the music thing, where it's so clean and optimized. You know, you take a photo and you look at these gorgeous people or girls that have like an OF, or guys that have like an OF, and then these like really attractive, like, so if you're into like gothy e-girls,
Yeah.
there's plenty of those. Um, and they get all the traction, they get all the attention, and then slowly, even though it's like hypernormalization, it's like even though that I know and you know that the person who's putting content is completely fake and created, you know, the ones where like, come spend a day with me as I get ready to go to work, and they'll put a camera in front of the bed and they go, oh, I woke up this morning, all that shit.
Yeah,
Um,
the
we all
close
know
up
it's
shot
fake.
of the alarm clock saying 6 a.m. whatever,
Yeah.
like this.
Yes.
Fuck all of you people.
Them going, "Hey, cuddles with my dog," and there's like a quick cut of them like playing the dog in bed,
Yeah,
already makeup on, or the dude's already like done a workout, so it's like ripped. And we all know that's fake. We all know that's edited and curated and cut, spliced and retakes. We all know this, especially, we do podcasts here, people edit, people say things. And still, there is still that part of your brain that goes, I envy this life because, I'm not living like this. I'm a very lazy person, or I'm a very disorganized, or I don't go to the gym. Even though we all know that it's fake and that person could be starving and miserable, but they look great. And I don't know if the human brain, I don't know if prior to this social media thing, the human brain was even aware that you can have so many opinions and so many different types of people to listen to and read about and look at, that it it supersedes the bit where you go, it's all fake, it's all bullshit, and it takes you right back to the point where it's like, I am now jealous. This is particular probably for young girls. I think it affects them the most for mental health, from looking a certain way, or being
yeah.
skinny, or wanting to have a big ass, or like whatever,
I
or
think
having
there.
a certain type of hair or look.
I
It's
think
sad.
there are like several studies done on Instagram where they found Instagram in particular has a really negative effect on young women's
Mm-hmm.
health, mental health, basically. Yeah.
It would, and it does, and understandably so, because you look at your life. If you live, if you're a modest living person here in the UK, you live in the houses in the UK are quite tiny, and you look at the stuff that you have, and it's all old or it's all hand me downs, and you start to just basically think of your life as incomplete through social media. Whereas we used to think our life was incomplete through television and ads and promotions. Now it's cutting into what used to be your leisure time, which is to go on social media, blah blah, and talk to your friends. And suddenly you're getting that from there as well. So I mean, most of the posts I see on my Facebook, it's not even from people anymore. It's ads for stuff. It's pages that like I don't know, Red Dead or Fallout, because I mentioned that and it picked up on it. And it's also like, yeah, these accounts that basically are like, you should be work. I mean, it's like those Andrew Tate, but it's not Andrew Tate posting them. It's like these aggregate. They're probably AI. These aggregator accounts that
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
show like a 20-second clip where he's like, if you're not working out over Christmas, you're fucking pathetic. And
Yeah.
then I started to see ten, literally 12-year-olds, 14-year-olds being like, yeah, just another day on the grind. I woke up, I had my usual morning workout, went to school, and then I worked on my business from 7 to 9, and then I practiced meditation. And they're like living like these like 40-year-old bullshitty tech gurus. And they're like, if you're not making your first 5 grand by the time you're 12, you're a piece of shit.
I know.
And I laugh at it. I'm an adult. I laugh at it. But I bet loads of other young boys, especially young men and young boys, are going, yes, this is how you should be. You should always be grinding, and it's really, really, really sad. But when it was first made, I guess no one had an idea of what it would spin into. Maybe there is some sci-fi movies that probably talk about this stuff.
I don't
I don't
think
know.
about like individual influencers just being like noteworthy for some reason. I don't think there's anything in fiction about that.
No,
Like,
I think it never really reached that aspect of it, did it?
well, I don't think
Um,
anyone could have predicted that. Like, it's a really strange thing. I see sometimes these videos that pop up where it's like a guy who works in Silicon Valley or whatever, and it shows
hmm.
his day to day, and it's like, have you seen these videos where it's like a, just a fucking mid-20s like white male who's going to work in his tech job, and like he gets up and his fridge is just like, I don't know, 150 cans of Diet Coke.
Or
He's,
fucking Huel, is it as well? They always
yeah,
punch him
shit
to
like
drink.
this. Yeah. Like it's really like there is something about it that like certain types of videos where I just can't turn my eyes away.
Oh, same,
Um,
same. Up to the point where now I've actually put. I mean, I've never done this before, but I get a weekly report that tells me how much I've been on my phone and what I've been doing. And I was getting like 3 hours a day between Instagram, Facebook,
that's wild.
X, and Threads a day, and I'm sat here going, I don't have any time to do anything. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
fuck me, dude. Why don't you stop doing that? So I don't know if you get this. You wake up first thing in the morning, you just look at your phone, and suddenly you're doom scrolling, And
Yep.
like, if I just got up, I would have been at work earlier. Maybe I might be able to finish earlier. But no, look at the phone. You have to, even though no one's talking to you, no one's mentioning you, no one's even into, because obviously people I would talk to, you've got Discord, which has got the exact people, you got Reddit, and then you've got WhatsApp to the people that you actually want to speak to. So
Yeah.
what the fuck are we doing all these apps? Well, we're just looking, aren't we? And yeah, you can't look away. Um, but I don't know whether or not it was a good idea overall. It seems to be getting worse every single time I go on it, and it makes me so sad because it used to be like the go-to. It used to be like, all right, the real world is kind of shitty and things aren't going my way. But if I go online, I'll talk to you, I'll talk to my other friends on MSN, and then you find a place of belonging that you might not get from your school or sixth form. But I think also having, I don't know how it was for you, but for us it was like the family computer. So you'd go to the family computer, it's the
Yeah.
internet you have in the house, you go on it for 2 3 hours, maybe somebody else wants to go on it, or maybe it's getting late, and then you leave it there and you're like, right, the internet's there, I'm gonna walk away and go live my life and then we'll come back to it. Whereas now, because it's on the phone, it's following you everywhere. So it's not like you can detach yourself that much because everybody needs a phone, everybody needs a LinkedIn, everybody has to have like certain things. If you meet someone, I've met people like this my age, people that have like no social media whatsoever. They're almost seen as like strange. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
noticed this. They're like, well, you don't even have Facebook, mate. No, I don't. I just got like WhatsApp and stuff. And you're like, okay, are you hiding something? I saw a thing on Reddit which was saying like it was on like the Tinder, like the dating subreddits, which was like if you meet someone, a boy or girl, and they say they've got no social media, is that a red flag? Like it's come to that. You know
The
what I mean?
the whole notion of red flag these days is just fucking
Anything I
insane.
don't like.
Yeah, anything I don't like. The
Which is true, that should be that, but don't apply it in the global sense to be like anyone who does this. But yeah, it's to that point. So yeah, I just think that social media, it much like all these tech things, they always start off as a great idea, blah blah blah, and then suddenly they become a monster, and it can't go away now. It can't be stopped. It's there
yeah,
forever
you
now.
can't put the genie back in the bottle.
Yeah. So it's then up to the individual. And again, I'm not calling people stupid or not intelligent, but it's up to your level of intelligence to be able to go, hang on a minute, this is sucking me in far more than I wanted to. I now
Yeah.
know more about fucking Amber Heards than I do about my own friends and family. Something's not right here. Maybe I should focus my time on socializing with people that are in my world and, trying to improve my life, their lives, whatever, as opposed to living in this other world because I don't know what you get out of it. I certainly, okay, I'll speak for myself. I don't certainly get as much out of it as I used to, put it that way.
When I
And I
was
don't know if that many people do.
when I was a teenager, when I first moved to Dublin, there was a radio talk show on weeknights in Dublin called the Adrian Kennedy Phone Show,
All
and it was this.
InfoWars.
No, it was
Sorry, guys.
this guy called Adrian Kennedy and his
Uh-huh.
co-host. I think his name was Jeremy Dixon.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, it was just like your standard phone-in show where they pick a topic and then people call in to debate either side of the topic. And
Yeah.
when I was like 13, 14, I've always been a very argumentative person, not necessarily like a hostile one, but like I like to argue. I believe in argumentation or
Hey, is that
argumentation.
is that a cultural thing as well? Aren't people in Ireland like that generally?
I don't think I, I don't think
Not to that
many.
degree.
No. I don't think many people are like me. I think that I'm very like unique in this regard.
Fair.
I but anyway, this phone show, the topics would be stuff like tattoos. Are tattoos a sign of like lower class or whatever? And
Yeah,
like
piercings, good or bad, let us
yeah,
know.
yeah, shit like that. And
Hmm.
so obviously there's like a producer here who accepts phone calls, and if someone phones in, someone phones. There's always like some fucking your stereotypical inner city Dublin fella who phones in and he's like, I don't give a fuck, Adrian. If someone has a tattoo, I couldn't give a bollock. And then there's like an owl one from fucking the south of Dublin who's like, Adrian, I think tattoos are terrible. I wouldn't hire anyone with a tattoo. And it's only
Yeah, yeah,
these fucking
yeah.
points and people who bolster either of these points. And
Yeah.
it took me a very long time to learn that if you phone in with like a nuanced take on this, they don't fucking put you on the
You
air.
ain't getting on, brother.
Yeah,
You
and
ain't getting on.
I learned this because there was once a fucking I was listening to some other radio station that we had a radio in the office in a job that I had when I was in my early 20s. Um, and there was a fucking section at lunchtime where they would take call-ins from people, and they decided it was the fucking day. There was a day in 2011, 2010, maybe 2012. I don't fucking know. But both Barack Obama and Queen Elizabeth II were in Ireland like that day or that week, and all of the news headlines were about that, right? And there was this fucking story on like page 7 of the Irish Independent about a fella who had gone to jail for he battered his wife, and he went to jail
Right.
for he got like 7 years in prison for it because like he really beat the shit out of her. And basically this fucking radio host was talking about like, why is this like buried on page 7 of the this should be like fucking front and center, like this is such a like big issue for me, whatever. And then like
Mhm.
2 minutes later he's fucking playing a Chris Brown song. um, and I couldn't fucking handle this. Like I was actually
Yeah,
so I don't know. I was about to have like a fucking non-verbal autistic fit about it until I
yeah,
picked up my phone
yeah.
and I fucking called the radio station and I was like, "Why are you like?" The reason why it's like on fucking page 7 of the news is that it's the news company's job to fucking sell newspapers. And I'm sorry, but like Barack Obama is the fucking president, the leader of the free world is in the country, and Queen Elizabeth II, fucking, you know, the head figure in the monarchy of our most fucking significant historical like
That's
rival
right.
and neighbor
That's right.
is
Yeah,
this is a fucking monumental moment for the country, whatever.
yeah,
And
yeah,
also, if you care about these fucking issues so much, maybe don't fucking play domestic abusers on your fucking radio station. Like,
yeah.
whether you like it or not, playing Chris Brown on your radio station is a celebration of him. And like, you're not necessarily endorsing what he did to Rihanna, but like, you're kind of saying, I
But you're
don't really
also
care about it
not.
that much.
Yeah, yeah. You're also not saying the other side of that. Yeah,
Yeah, and so obviously they didn't fucking let me on the air. And it was like an important lesson I learned that like
yeah,
a lot of fucking life is just about rage bait. And you see
yeah,
shit now,
yeah,
everything on your fucking timeline at the moment is
yeah.
like you ever see these
Hot takes,
fucking
extreme takes. It's.
not even
I
shit like
see
that,
it.
but you know some I saw this one video one time of this it was like this woman on an airplane, and she was talking about how she was like reenacting a scene that she allegedly saw on a plane where someone was breastfeeding their cat, right? And it's like, first of all, she's reenacting it inside of a plane that isn't really a plane. You can tell it's one of those like set things, you know,
Yeah,
where
yeah, like a little cabin set. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and she's saying like, "Oh, I'm reenacting a thing that happened," but like that's part of the bit as well. It's obviously not a thing that happened. Like it's just a sketch. But because of the nature of like social media, the way people interact with things, everyone is debating the merits of this story, not by whether it actually happened or not, but if someone should be able to do that or not. And it's just like
Mm-hmm.
this type of fucking bullshit that leads to the most poisonous fucking brain rot discourse. You know, shit like,
Mm-hmm.
is it racist to give your neighbors tacos? You know, all of this kind of
Mm-hmm.
shit. This is like,
Mm-hmm.
this isn't
Those are the
important.
voices that get amplified.
Yeah. And
Those
it's
are the
like,
most because it's been just so. Yeah, it's. I mean, as I said to you before, like in wrestling, especially the idea of criticism and having a stupid hot take so everyone else can jump on it and attack you is literally how these like fan pages gain traction. That's it. They'll
yeah.
sit there and they'll go, um, you know, spoiler alert, even though I don't think your audience will give a shit, but in last night there was an AEW show called World's End, and John Moxley, who used to be known as Dean Ambrose, is the champ, and then Adam Copeland, who used to be known as Edge, came out to confront him, and the first people said was ex WWE guys. Okay. These men are workers. They are not okay. If you worked at Tesco and you went and worked for Asda, and your friend also went and worked for Asda, will people refer to you as an ex Asda guy? No. If you're a footballer and you play for Ipswich, and then you go on to play for Aston Villa, and there's 2 of you or 3 of you, are people going to go, oh, typical ex Ipswich guys? And you're like, no, it's just a different job that you're doing. So I hate that those are the things that get amplified, and it's just it kills nuance, as you said, because that takes too long, and that is you have to think it through. Whereas if you just shout some stupid shit into the ether, you know,
Yeah. Like,
if you look at an OJ Simpson video, right, and the first comment says, "He's such a good guy. I can't believe he got framed." That comment is going to get 700 people saying, "Fuck you, you're an idiot." But the algorithm rewards activity, regardless if it's good or bad. It just rewards clicks. So yeah, that's how your Daily Mail has been doing it for years, right? With these ludicrous headlines and the Sun. It's just been filtered across the almost the whole of social media. I don't say the whole of the internet, but certainly the whole of social media. I don't even have Twitter or X anymore, so I don't know what that looks like. But I imagine that is exactly the same, if not worse, because somebody will say something so dumb that you can't help but stop, read it, reply, and then that's how you see their next tweet or their next X. Next time they X up or whatever the fuck that you doing there. But
this is
yeah,
it. Is
it's heartbreaking.
The world is now the Adrian Kennedy phone show, and the only way, like, you used to
the only way to get on is to Sorry,
well,
carry on.
You used to escape the Adrian Kennedy phone show by turning it off. You used to escape the outrage of Daily Mail headlines by not reading the Daily Mail. Your phone is essentially a part of your body now. It's really hard.
Of your hand.
Yeah, it's really fucking hard to get out of it.
How many times have you done this thing though? Sorry to jump in, but how many times have you done this thing where you're doing something, you're about to watch a film or TV, and you whip out your phone just as the show starts, and you're like, "What the fuck? I'm supposed to be watching this." Or
I hate this. Yeah,
you close down an app, put the phone down, then 2 seconds later you pick it back up, and you literally open the app you've just closed.
Or
whatever that is.
I sometimes have multiple tabs open that are just my Twitter timeline on different tabs, like shit like this. Like, my brain is fucking fried, and it's like my own fault, like, but also kind of not, because everything has kind of been like driving people towards this version of reality.
You weren't prepared to deal with the detachment side because you've never had to feel like you had to detach this much before. You know what I mean? As I said, that's why I now turn my phone off at 10, and I have a limit on social media apps, half an hour across all of them. It says you got 5 minutes left, and I'm like, well, I will just comply, because otherwise my night, my evening, my afternoon, my morning, whatever time of day you're doing it, it is gone, and I've done nothing. I've achieved nothing other than, as I said, I now know that Primus need a new drummer.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, great. What the fuck am I gonna do with that information? How's that gonna put food on my table? So
I feel like the way Elon has kind of he is racing Twitter to the bottom, and it's driving users away. It's lost so much of its valuation as a company. Like, it does kind of feel to me like we're on the precipice of a mass social media exodus. I don't really think that that's actually true, though, because apparently Gen Z are just completely fucking fried, and they can't do anything unless they're looking at their phone. But I know I don't
and
have...
also the boomers. It's either end.
Yeah,
it's us
boomers,
in the middle.
But the boomers are mostly on Facebook on their computer. Like, it's not quite the same sort of...
TikTok. They love TikTok too, by the way.
Oh, that's ruined my day.
I've never even installed TikTok, because to me it's the same thing as Vine. It's just, there's nothing to be gained from... But they're on both of those. And the only reason why we are far more clever than either one, because young people, well, we've had social media for like 15, 20 years. So we know that. We've experienced all of it. Boomers are now just getting there for the first time. This is why they keep talking about, there's chemtrails, and because they've never been exposed to that. We've all been exposed to that, bought into it, and realized it's all fucking bullshit for clicks and for attention, and we moved on. But in young people, well, that's, what's that guy's name? Speed? I take Speed.
I show Speed.
I take Speed would be a better one, actually.
Yeah.
I'd watch that guy. I have nothing against the guy personally, never met the guy, but it's like his obsession with Cristiano Ronaldo in Portugal has weirdly afforded him fame, connections that are far beyond anything else he would had he worked at a McDonald's. That's just a fact.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
on the other side, kids look up to this guy, and I'm like, but what's his talent? What's his skill set? Because the only clips that I saw of this guy, it was him watching clips of Ronaldo, and he'd scream, Ronaldo! And then he'd watch clips of Messi, and he'd go, no, 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 Ronaldo's better, Ronaldo's better. And you're like, this is such a basic distilling. Not everyone has to have a nuanced take on footballs. I get it. I understand that. But it's such a stupid fucking take to be like, this guy's better and I will defend him to my death. Well, so that's your personality? Like, it's just bizarre to me. And he plays video games, or he used to do reaction videos, and that's what gets you, I don't know, connected with the young people. It's just bizarre. It really
He,
is.
I will say this one thing about him. Like, apparently he has a bunch of like misogynistic videos from the past, but like he's like fucking 18 years old. Like, of course he
Yeah, he's
fucking
not
does.
even in his 20s, in his late 20s. He's like in his early 20s, isn't
But
he?
he is a phenomenal athlete. I don't know if you've seen any of
Is he?
this. He is fucking
No.
incredible. He's like, he has like raced in sprint. He's like sprint raced against actual fucking like NFL fucking linebacker receivers or whatever, and like beaten them. He's jumped over two
Okay.
Lamborghinis while they were driving. He just jumps over them. Like
Oh,
they
I've seen
drive
a
in his
Steven
direction.
Seagal movie where he does that.
Yeah, well, I Show Speed is like a modern Steven Seagal.
He'll be in Russia in
um,
15 years.
do
But my
you?
point is that. Sorry, go ahead. No, you go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say, do you mind if I? This is a really good opportunity for me to talk about a book I read this year. Like a really, really good opportunity, and I also, you don't really read fiction, do you? You mostly just read nonfiction.
Let me just look at what I've got here on the stands. I've got The Art of Rest, learning about rest. I've got a book here called Monster, the autobiography of an LA gang member.
Okay.
Hopefully that's definitely not fiction. And I've got Mick Foley's autobiography. No, no,
Dude,
never fiction.
I fucking knew Mick Foley's autobiography was gonna be there. I fucking wish I said it because I fucking knew it was there.
It's the second. No, sorry, the first one. Have a nice day. Yeah,
Um, so anyway,
great book.
I read a book this year. It came out this year. It's relevant to the year in review as a subject. It's called I'm Starting to Worry About This Black Box of Doom. It's written
Okay.
by Jason Pargin, who is like basically my favorite like writer slash thinker slash whatever the fuck he is, podcast guest. I don't
Personality.
know. He's probably like my biggest inspiration in life, I would say. Absolutely love this guy. This book is just phenomenal, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion, because it so perfectly captures everything that we've just been talking about: the anxiety, the rage bait, the brain rot, the everything to do with social media. So to give you a quick what you call it rundown, or let
Mm-hmm.
me just summarize the book. It starts off, there's this guy, he's in his mid-20s, he's a Twitch streamer, and he drives for Lyft or Uber or one of those in his spare time. And
Mm-hmm.
he has this one fare where he turns up to a car park, and it's this a young girl, and she's sitting on a black box that has the radioactive symbol on it. And she says, "Hey, I need to cancel this ride, but I want to make you like a better offer." And he's
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, like what do you mean?" And then she's like, "I need to get this box from, I think they're in California, and she wants to go to Washington D.C. or somewhere near Washington. I think Virginia maybe. Um, I can't remember, but she's like, I need to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I need you to bring this box there, but there are some rules. You have to leave your phone behind. You can't be on like social media or anything like that. You can't ask me anything about the box, but I will give you, I think it's 200 grand or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's basically where it starts, and I think that that's all I will say. But everything unfolds from the perspective of like multiple different characters. It becomes this chaotic road trip type book that just encapsulates every single facet of social media, um, like brain rot and paranoia and just the great disconnect it causes between humans and the way that it makes you think in terms of narratives and just all of these types of things. It's a
Of the
phenomenal book.
unknowable,
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
because you don't know what. Yeah, so you can. Yeah, okay.
but
Have you
this
read the
book,
whole thing?
dude,
I guess
I
it's spoilers, right? If it carried going.
I started reading it on a long haul flight. I think the flight
Mm.
was like 6.5 hours. I started reading it. I read like 200 pages on the flight, and then like when I came, I read the whole thing in like a week.
Oh my god.
It's a book that it's really hard to put down, and you start thinking about like it's really exciting to read. Everything in it is uh it happens at like breakneck speed, but it's written in such a relatable way. Um,
You just flow off the page where you're just
yeah,
like, yeah.
I really can like this book could have been written yesterday. It's just so like relevant and current, and yeah, I really
Okay.
like highly recommend.
I
It's got everything. Like
I
it's
I I'm gonna piggyback off your point there, my brother. I watched the film. This film's been out for a while. It's called Grave Encounters. Have you ever heard of it?
no, I have not.
It's actually on YouTube. It's um it's like a Canadian horror film,
Okay.
and it doesn't have a big budget. It's like found footage style, and it's basically like it's it's these people that do like this is gonna be a very dated reference, so hopefully people will get it. There's a TV show called Most Haunted. Who would
Oh
go
yeah, I
to
never watched it.
allegedly, but you know about this the thing, right? Where they go
Yeah,
in
yeah.
and they do the ultra reds. The camera with the lights are off, it goes all green, and they'll go, oh, is Mary here? And they'll have like a sidekick, and it's all fake, it's all work. We all know this. So this show follows that. The film it's the exact same thing. It's pretending to be a hunting show, a ghost most haunted type of show, and they lock themselves in a hospital, like an old psychiatric hospital. Which I think I looked it up. I think it was a real psychiatric hospital that they went because it's filmed on location,
Oh, nice.
which is pretty cool. And over the course of the film, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm going to go into spoilers. This film came out in 2011, and quite frankly, I don't think you need to watch it to get where I'm going for. But if you
Yeah.
people want to watch it, this show is called Grave Encounters. Don't watch the sequel. It sucks. But basically, so they go there and they literally chain the door. We're gonna stay here for 10 hours. We're gonna capture everything, and they start getting their footage where they're like, "Oh, we'll get the psychic to say someone was murdered here," because they knew someone was murdered there previously. Like a girl was like drowned in a tub and stuff. And then, it's a horror film, so stuff starts to happen. But um, so it'll be jump scares. It'll be people running, even though this place is abandoned. It'll be stuff like they feel like they're in a maze. They'll open the door that they originally came in from. They open it and it's like another hallway, and then they go up the stairs, and then it says exit, but then it's like a brick wall, and they're like, "What the fuck?" I thought this says exit because they wanted to go to the roof to escape, and then shit starts to happen, and they start delving into it. And I watched it with someone, and they made a really good point about it. They were like, maybe the reason why people are in these psychiatric places and they stay crazy is because they're in a building where everyone is saying the same thing. So eventually, it's like a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, right? Where
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
not insane, but then he has to act insane, and then you're like, well, what's the difference then? Then you are insane if you put in the act on so much. I don't even know that's how the movie goes, but I'm just grabbing onto that piece of it, and it just made me think a lot as well that we as a society, just we as individuals, we don't take enough notice of our environments and how your environment can shape you into a good person or a bad person or a negative person. But the movie basically inadvertently tries to make the point that, like, yeah, if you lock people down in a mental institution and say that they're insane, and keep saying you're insane, you can't have access to anything, it will eventually make them insane, regardless of how many people there's to supposedly help. And maybe
Yeah.
that's the idea, that like maybe people should be treated all disconnected, so that even if you're different and unusual and autistic, or you got other things, you should just be treated the same as everybody else. And then maybe you don't think of yourself as like a freak or different. You just think like, oh, I just have these little ticks, but I am who I am. But I know the movie kind of spoke to me and my friend that I watched it with, and it really like made me realize, yeah, your environment is so influential on your state of mind, more so than before, because I never used to think about stuff like that. I used to just be like, well, it is what it is, and no matter where you're from, you can just you adapt and you can learn stuff. But actually, I do think your environment really has an influence on who you are as a person.
There's one part in this book that reminds me of that, where
Mm.
fuck it, actually I don't want to spoil it, but yeah,
You
anyway,
sure?
it's not even, it wouldn't even be a spoiler, but I just don't want to say, I don't know, I just feel like people should read the book.
But
But
what
yeah,
about what's the point being made though, that
I
your environment inflects your.
yeah, the point being made is that
Mm,
there are a great number of characters in the book who all like suffer from anxiety, and
mm,
it's there's actually like a real statistic that the people are reporting like anxiety now, like more than ever. Like people, young people in particular, Gen Z,
mm-hmm.
they just feel anxiety all the fucking time. Everything is anxiety, and they open their phone and they scroll, and all they see is like more reasons for anxiety. And it's kind
That's
of,
right.
you kind of look at the way America is like kind of sleepwalking into autocracy at the moment, for
Yeah.
like reasons that are just so unclear. Like everyone's saying like, oh yeah, I voted for Trump because of the economy. The economy in America is really fucking good. Like it's really fucking good. It's the greatest
Yeah.
economy in fucking human civilization. And
But
yeah,
the problem
inflation
is,
was bad, but
I was
like
gonna
fucking,
say that, yeah.
but like
Yeah, the big go ahead, go ahead, sorry.
the Inflation Reduction Act, like America has dealt with inflation better than any other fucking nation. Definitely in the G7, you could probably like point to some fucking nation state somewhere, like I don't know, Singapore or
Monaco.
something. Yeah, some shit like that, like whatever, where their GDP is kind of a little bit of a scam anyway. But
Yeah, yeah.
the
Luxembourg.
America is like it's doing phenomenally basically, and Joe Biden like gets basically kind of no credit from anybody for all of his economic policies, which just properly fucking steered that country back on track. Like he did such a fucking great job, and no one gives a fuck, because like he had a bad debate performance where he essentially fucking, I don't know, conjured up some fucking ghostly spirit to try and speak for him, and just it was terrible. It looked terrible. Um, and that was the end of him. And people are like so happy to just vote for this fucking maniac,
Mm-hmm.
um, because they feel anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, there's
Mm-hmm.
just anxiety, but it's not really
Yeah.
driven by like, there's no, I guess anxiety is inherently irrational anyway, but like this
Yes,
is just
yes. It's about
fucking crazy.
control.
Like
It's lack
yeah,
of control of everything, and you give the reins to the guy who's out of control.
yeah,
So he's going to rain down. If you
yeah,
thought you're anxious before, get fucking ready.
yeah.
Um, but
It's
no,
just,
I really do think though that, yeah, your Gen Z especially, yeah, or it might be the fact they're just talking about it openly, but I don't know. But
I
yeah,
don't
I
think
do
so.
think that as well. And I'm an anxious person by default.
Yeah, same, big time.
I
Yeah,
I never thought that I was, but I think I always was. I just didn't talk about it, so it would just come out in the odd panic attack on my own, and you'd be like, I'll just ride this out.
yeah.
But and I actually wanted to make this point overall as my last point, anyways, for everybody, before we have another 6 hour podcast and we get accused of doing too much pillow talk. I'm still bitter. Um, yeah. So the secret. It took me years to figure this out. The secret is to just talk about it, because as soon as you talk about it to a friend, to a family member, fuck it, even to Chat GPT, if you really want to go down that route, and you describe your symptoms and your thoughts, and you're able to try and kind of process it as going, it's natural that your body's having these responses. You've got this social event you're going to. You've got a job interview. You've got bills to pay, and anxiety does or stress does derive from these things. But I do think generally, I imagine that your audience, your core audience, is probably going to be in a similar age range to us, right? They would have been in their
Yeah.
20s, and now we're all going into our 30s. In your 20s, you just have a good time and you party hard and you sort of block out all the horribleness with I don't know, drugs or drinking or partying. Not everybody does. I'm generalizing here, but I'm
In
making a
your
point.
20s, you basically just have a bunch of orgies with supermodels,
You
and
do. Well, at least I did. I don't know about
yeah,
anybody else,
I
but
did
I
too.
did.
Yeah,
I
I'm
did.
sure
I had a
everyone does.
few. Yes, yes. I missed that.
Yeah, those were the days.
It was actually good old days. But in your 30s, you slow down, and it's almost like all that trauma goes, here I am at the door. And now that you're older, you don't you have to try and confront it, as you reach your 30s, people in your social group, I mean, it's going to be morbid, but some people might die, might have like an illness, marriages, divorce, kids, um, becoming, finding a long-term partner, like whatever it is, or finding a career. Um, and I think that that's the reason why it feels like when we reach our 30s, everything's a little bit shitter, and that you kind of have a relapse fall from your 20s where you're like, oh, the world's not really about me. But I would just like to say to everybody, like, if you can always reach out to a friend or your partner or someone and just talk about how you feel, it really makes things less hard. And I think overall, that's the message here, try to find ways to make 2025 less emotionally difficult, whether it's avoiding social media or just being more open with your friends or going for a walk in the park. I know these sound like the worst, like I'm depressed, oi, have you tried exercising, that kind of line of thinking, but I'm not talking about curing it. I'm just talking about alleviating it. It's getting out of your comfort zone is the one thing that's truly helped me overcome my anxiety, is having to battle that feeling, I don't want to do this, I don't want to go there. um I get it when we record, like I always go, I feel like I don't have anything to say, like I'm really like, and you don't let that shit take over, you know
Yeah, I
put
agree.
yourself put yourself in the position where you're like, my thoughts are now, start to preempt your anxiety by going, okay, it's coming. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a bit of cleaning and listen to some music. That usually cures my head. Or I'm going to go and watch this movie or read this book that's going to take me away. But I just think that, like, yeah, this year has been a really, really big lesson on and it's ironic, as I said, because I used to be, I guess, similar to you. We used to be internet men. Our domain was the e-domain, reading
Hmm.
all the memes, all the news, all the shit, and neglect everything in real life. And now I'm like completely the other way. I'm like, forget all that shit. That brings no joy whatsoever. Or if it does, a very temporary dopamine hit, and you're going to be chasing that forever. Yeah, to just talk to your friends, talk to your family, you know, talk to somebody, even, talk to a stranger, to just try and make life for them and for you easier, excuse me, and better. That's my message of 2025.
Um, because that was a very positive message, I want to balance it out with this. Uh, I agree with
Die.
everything Miguel just
Kill
said.
self.
No, that's all completely true. You should. It's really good to talk about things, but please, for the love of God, stop self-diagnosing. There is no fucking
Yes.
way that this many of you have autism and ADHD.
Yes.
It's just not fucking possible unless these terms fucking mean nothing. So just fucking
Yes.
cop on, all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or go get diagnosed. So to go get diagnosed, that's the thing. Go get diagnosed so you know what stack of cards that you have.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know for a fact some of my behavior is very ADHD, and not in the sense that I'm self-diagnosing. Because I've also been asking people who have been diagnosed and go, "Do you get this? Do you get this?" And maybe I get it to a lesser degree. I've realized that like a lot of aspects of what I thought was just my personality are also derived from that. But again, it's good to know, because then you know, right? Then you don't, not wondering, why am I different? Why am I weird? Or yeah, as you said, don't just go on self-diagnosis WebMD. I'm clinically depressed. And you're like,
Yeah,
you should
I
probably know what
fucking
that
hate
term means.
it. Just I just can't like I've done like 5 autism tests in the last like
Hmm.
2 years, and apparently I'm like most likely autistic, right? I've
Yeah.
never like gone and got it. I don't give a fuck. This doesn't like affect my life in any fucking meaningful. Like it's so weird how I just I don't really. When I was a kid, I knew an autistic kid um, when I was younger, and he could like barely talk, and he
Mm-hmm.
did lots and lots of screaming and like
Mm-hmm. Get
reacted very
ticks.
poorly to like stimulation, like stuff like
Mm-hmm.
this, right? I
Overexcitement as well. They get hyper.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I just you read stuff on Twitter like someone saying, "Oh, did you know autistic people can't actually fucking answer their phone because it gives it like or whatever?" It's just like stop fucking using this as a like just fucking answer your phone or
Yeah.
else like don't answer your phone. But like don't go around being like, oh yeah, no, because of my fucking self-diagnosed condition. Like just fuck you, shut the fuck up. Just
Yeah, or
anyway.
be like, my autism makes me want to platinum every game. You're like, no, that's being a completionist. That is
Yeah,
not
this
that.
I hate this this fucking having any interest is a pathology. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you like video? Well, that's autism. I'm afraid. It's just no, like, fucking dude.
You
Every
like being on
single
your own? You like solitude? Maybe you're depressed. Oh, I just like chilling on my own sometimes. Like my own space. Yeah.
listen. Go up to a group of lads in a Weatherspoons on a Friday night and sit down at the table and say, Zoltan Gira, remember him? Remember Jonathan Greening? Remember Nicholas and Elka? Men will just
Remember
they'll all be autistic immediately. Just fucking listing
Jimmy
off
Floyd
names of footballers.
Hasselbank?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mario Stanic, Jesper Gronkier. No one talks about him anymore. He was really fast. Remember Dennis
Mario
Ramadan?
Jardel is a new
Yes.
one.
Fucking uh Tel Ben Haim or whatever that fucking guy was.
Morientes.
Oh, that was a real number 9.
Yeah, that was my number 9, mate, in the 90s. Raul. But no, yeah, you're right. You could literally describe that, those like, I think it's stereotypically probably for men, but now I think women probably can do that too. But it was mostly used as like a men thing to be like, men can make friends by just naming footballers.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, out of context, you're right. You're like, is this a group of autistic people clicking? Okay, if that is the case, then we're all autistic. Then it's fine, right? Then it shouldn't affect anything.
You know
So maybe some people do
the
actually have that. I
you
just
know
don't.
that meme with the like it's like an anime guy pointing at a butterfly and it's like, is this,
This thing, yeah,
yeah. That's basically like the caption would be like enjoying literally anything. Is this autism? Like,
yes,
just like
yeah.
fuck off. Or else it's like making an excuse for like why you didn't do something. Is this autism? It's always like there's always it's this is a thing
Not
that's
being
called
able to get an idea out of your head or like a crush or like something that you've thought of. That's not autism.
yeah.
That's just your brain telling you to take action on something.
It's just so
Um,
like this is what I'm being a boomer here. This like autism is obviously a real thing and like lots of people have it and stuff. But I do really notice on Twitter the number of people who just say stuff like, "Oh, I can't do that because I have autism," and it's like, dude,
mhm.
come on, like just give me a
You're
fucking
you're
break, would you?
restricting yourself. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's funny though. I thought earlier when you said like, oh, just to counter your point, because when I was like saying talk to people, blah blah blah,
yeah,
I thought you were
and
gonna
I'm
be like,
like,
yeah, but
shut the
don't.
fuck up, actually.
You're gonna be like, well, don't talk to me though. Don't come to me
Yeah,
with your shit problems. I'm not listening. Um,
yeah.
but no, like even earlier, like over Christmas, like my nephew, who is autistic, he was like, I'm feeling really anxious today. And I was like, what have you done today? And he's like, I've just sat on the computer and I've been eating sweets and drinking cans of Coke. And I'm like, Kieran, it'll be the sugar then, won't it? Like that's
And the caffeine.
and the caffeine.
Yeah.
So that's probably what's going to get you a bit anxious because you're not doing anything. You've put all this stuff in your body. I hate to be the guy saying putting stuff in your body like I'm like Joe Rogan telling you to
RFK
really, like,
Jr. over
yeah,
here.
yeah. But you know what? Like especially for kids, like a lot of that stuff must be from the fact. I mean, we did it too. We're no different. I used to be a very avid energy drink man, back in the day, and you still have Red Bull from time to time.
Man,
Sometimes.
in my last job, I was having 2 Red Bulls every single day, one in the morning and one at about 3 o'clock.
If you not noticed, so sometimes it would hit the spot, and you're like, right, I got moment. I got like the second win, especially the 3 o'clock one. But at other times, you're still as tired. It just makes you feel anxious.
I gotta be
Oh,
honest with you. I don't think a Red Bull has ever fucking hit the spot for me. I think it only makes me feel bad. And yet, for some reason, I cannot stop drinking it. Red
I
Bull
find
is the fucking Twitter timeline of energy drinks.
social media of energy
Yeah,
drinks.
I
It's
fucking,
there, and it's like you go, I need a pick me up. But you don't drink coffee, do you? You're not a coffee
no,
fan.
no, I don't. I
But
wish I was, but
but even with that, so if I now get a coffee from Starbucks, which why would I? It's like £100,000. Am I right?
and they
um,
also are sponsoring the genocide or whatever the
that's right. And they
fuck.
ask you for your name, and then they don't spell it properly.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not Miguel. It's Miguel. Um, don't ask me if you're not going to be able to spell it. Just give me my damn. If you shout the drink, I'll know it's mine. Anyways, um, I found out the amount of sugar they already have in the coffee before you even put your own sugar in is insane, and it's like 8 cups of. Oh, it's like 8 cups of coffee for like a medium latte. My brother, that is. I usually have two. That is a lot. So there's times where I'll be at work and I'm like, fuck me, I'm struggling. I had like 4 hours sleep. I'll get a Starbucks to just power through. And it ends up really being overwhelming where I just feel like this pain in my chest where I'm like, oh my God, now I feel so anxious and I'm like shaking, but I'm just as tired. Like it's not cured the tiredness, it just fed the hyper activity brain side of it. But
Yeah.
because I'm not exercising, I'm just sat in my fucking ass at work. It doesn't really do much. So yeah, I said that to him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, maybe I'll have less of this of the cokes and the sweets and stuff." I was like, "Yeah, if you feel like this, I'm not saying don't eat it all. Just don't stop having a second coke or a third can of coke because that's only gonna amplify those feelings." Um, and yeah, that's it.
This has been very uh two men yelling at cloud for,
Yeah.
for some of this.
Have we entered that stage now?
I think
Is
so,
this
man. Yeah.
becoming
I really
everything
do think so.
sucks?
Nah, you know what the problem is? It's we don't podcast that much, so like I don't know, it's just all like this. I don't know. I just
Well, I don't really have a lot of avenues to talk about this stuff because nobody really sits there and wants to be like, can we just talk about social media from the perspective of it's
yeah,
fucked?
I
Like, no one's
know.
gonna sit down for that. So yeah, so whenever I get an opportunity, it's always nice to have this little space to just vent that side. But yeah, I always fear that it comes across like yeah, just a couple of old timers being like everything's shit.
Yeah.
But then we're gonna sound like the people that we mentioned at the start, and we're not like that because we're aware enough we're not like that. So at least that is the upside.
But man, you know what actually is really true? Like I look at the Zoomers and their like social media obsession and I get worried and stuff. But I literally remember the night that me and you watched the Zeitgeist movie and like 100% believed every single thing in it and thought that
Look at the
the like
$100 note, mate. It looks like
yeah,
9/11.
yeah.
These are the facts
Like that actually happened and like we made
of
it
the
through
great.
that and we grew up to be normal functioning members of society. So like, it's
Hey, we
probably
should
fine.
watch that again sometime, like on
Oh yeah.
stream or something. What's the guy's name? Peter
Peter
Joseph, is it?
Joseph, yeah, and he's like considered like a legitimate like fucking in like socialist
Genius.
circles, he's considered like a fucking god to those people, and he
Yeah.
basically like had a huge hand in perpetuating like the fucking worst conspiracy theory of our lifetime and fucking doing more to popularize Alex Jones. So like fuck him. He's a piece of shit. He has not sufficiently fucking disowned or disavowed the stuff that he says in that video. He's fucking like tacitly said shit like oh, I don't really stand by a lot of that anymore. Like fuck you, man. Stand up, fucking tell me what you really believe in, you fucking son of a bitch.
Or do another movie to go and
Yeah.
be like, right, this is all the things I no longer believe to discredit the previous because yeah. Um
Zeitgeist
the,
addendum.
addendum brackets sources proved here. But
Yeah.
no, we should definitely if that because that's in the public domain. I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube or
Oh yeah, for
something.
sure. Yeah, we first watched it on Google Videos. That's a for
Yes, we
anyone who
did.
remembers that one.
I remember being like, I now have been given all the answers.
Yes.
The history of the world. Okay.
This
Oh my
16-year-old boy
fucking
has got it figured out, you
in
fools.
Norwich. I know. I'm the guy who has the answer now. It's me. Let me just see. Zeitgeist films. Yeah, they're all there. They're all on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that at some point because I would be so up for that. And we can pause it and tear it down, I guess. We'd
We
have to just.
could even do that as like a live stream, and then I could upload the VOD to here.
I was thinking that. Yeah,
That
yeah.
could be
I
good.
don't like making plans on the air, but yes, I'd be up for that. We wouldn't have
It's
to do
gonna
much
be.
work.
It will be pretty. We're very nebulous with our plans, so the
Either
fact
we
that we
make
can.
100 plans or we make 0 plans for the year.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Oh, okay,
But
I
yeah,
think.
should we
Yeah.
get out of here?
Yes, yes, yes. Thanks everybody for listening. I am really sorry for how much negative energy I brought to this. I didn't really expect that. I am hungover, and I honestly am pretty doomer pilled about the state of Western democracy. But
Yes.
have a great new year, and best of luck with it all. Please do check out the book. I'm starting to worry about this Black Box of Doom by Jason Pargin. I promise you, it's an amazing read. You'll really love it. I don't give a fuck if you don't read fiction. Fucking read this book because it's a really good social commentary and it feels nonfiction in many ways. So check that out. That's my sign off. I'll let you do yours, and then we'll close.
I think everyone should really, really, really watch the film Mother, the 2017 film Mother, starring. Have you seen this?
The
By the way?
Darren Aronofsky movie. You've mentioned
Yeah,
this
yeah,
like
yeah,
I
yeah.
think in the last 2 podcasts,
I think
possibly.
I mentioned that again. Well, I don't know if people have one. I doubt it. But if you can get your hands on it, you should watch it. It makes a very good point about nature and how maybe we should stop destroying the world, and maybe just maybe we should, be happy and enjoy things. And also, I was gonna say as well, just as a side note, despite I mean, I do agree with you that the world is going to shit and there seems no way out, but it doesn't mean my favorite pay-per-view. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't still find joy in your life and the little things you can do, because
No,
I
it
think
does. Fuck you and your joy.
it
You're not
doesn't.
allowed.
It doesn't. Because I personally think that joy is to be found in the little things.
Wow,
You know,
listen to how woke this guy has gone, huh?
going to the toilet and being like, I do have toilet paper indoors. Fuck yeah. You know, eating a nice hot meal on a rainy day. Reading a book in bed, smoking a joint. The good stuff. The good life.
Watching a Nazi rally at Madison Square Garden.
Watching then the documentary called 7 Minutes, where there's a real, actual Nazis there. Being
Yeah.
sad seeing Hulk Hogan tear his shirt off at 75 years old to have a MAGA T-shirt, stuff like that. The little
Yeah.
things.
The little things.
Well, enjoy 2025, y'all.
Peace out.